1, 2, we here, back to business. Power to the people, we back to do maintenance. Yeah, we gonna rock like crack when it came in. What's going on, guys? I think I gotta update the stream title on Kick. Kick never automatically updates for me. You see the title, 1 year of gamified, baby. Should be going live any minute now. Super excited for that. We're just gonna be hanging out, listening to the show. There's a chance that we get like called up to the stage. I don't even know what's going to happen today. I have no idea what to expect. Let me get out of this. Hey, Doug Hype in the chat already. Or is that old, dude? Are you really here in the chat right now? That's crazy, dude. You're on friggin' your space right now. Oh my goodness, Doug. I love you. Guys, we got this video. Let's watch our video real quick before the space starts.
Crazy conversation.
You don't want the smoke, bro.
Biggest mistake in Web3 was that he joined Web3.
Community and the players have to decide that.
Unwank yourself.
I love that quote from Peyton. Hey. Dude, I want that Avalanche hoodie so bad. It is time. You know the vibes, baby. Gamified should be going live any second, so like we got to get in there. For real, for real. All right, it's 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock.
For quite a while, so
enough of this.
Super pumped.
You are now listening to the greatest minds in Web3 gaming, hosted.
Hopefully Twitter doesn't do any of the Twitter things. How do we refresh? I never know how to tell when like the space is live. You just like have to keep refreshing, I feel like. Oh, where we go, baby. Start listening. We're here. Okay. We in the building. Let's go. Oh, hold on. We got to get a comment in here. Let's go. One year of gamified, baby. You know we got to be in the comments. Show mad love. Annie Mositas is back up there. That's amazing. You love to see it. All right, I gotta get my chat down here. Where's the chat? There it is. Okay. Taylor in the building. What up, brother? Good to see you, man. Guys, we are doing... wait, how come I can't hear anything? Is there sound? I don't think that there's sound yet. Do some people hear music? AOF first fed. Yeah, dude. Freaking rip, bro. Rip.
Yo, this is about to be
there
electric.
We go.
What's up? What's up,
talk about it, Peyton.
Knock, Lambs, Shrap. Is that you, Dub?
Let's go.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Peyton bringing the energy.
Excited to see you for GDC, man.
You know what we got to do? We got to do a duplicate.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
We're going to put that there and then this here.
Got confirmation on what's definitely going to be the single best thing that happens at the Wolves Den for all of GDC. Maybe, actually. It'll be Monday night. And if you're not there, then...
Alpha.
I don't know what to tell you guys. But when it's
Alpha.
The announcements will come later, but it does involve Koji and Sinjin, and I'm
I think the desktop audio is super low. All right, I just turned that up. Big E in the building. Good to see you, bro. I know it's been a minute.
Let's let it rip.
It's been a minute. My apologies.
Is there gonna be a sing-off? Is it gonna be like a Glee night? You know, I heard
bro, you hear the
both of them
bars that
have-
AE was
have
dropping?
Voices of you know gods. I know Sinjin does. I've seen it.
I don't know how Sinjin sings, but Koji is just a muse. I mean, listening to that guy sing was like, I felt like I was at a concert.
Yeah.
I would take the silence as a yes, Fresco. I mean, Jerry, I can't.
Yeah. First of all, respect the rebrand. Okay. Second of all, as tough and like as gruff as you guys think that Sinjin is, when he sings, I mean, women weep.
Hey guys, who's Jerry?
I don't know.
That's first of all to you, Wild Paul. That's young Gerald. All right.
Oh, young Gerald. I love it.
Heard he's some small,
He's
short,
an AI
scrawny
imposter.
dude.
Sounds just like this other guy that I kind of like, but you know.
Oh, kind of. Thanks. It's only been a year of us doing this together. Glad I made it to
Hey,
kind of.
speaking of my boy Sinjin, though, congratulations, Sinjin, on that black card mint out. Woo!
Let's go, baby.
Thanks, guys.
Boy,
Oh,
that was the
I
most
got one in the.
obvious
How am I
thing
so
ever
energetic? What
about
motivate,
calling
dude? My
FTL.
friends, the people that I love. You
Yeah, Sinjin,
being in
I'm
the
surprised
comments
you could
right now,
find 88
Taylor.
people that are still minting NFTs. That was an accomplishment.
Yeah, maybe they kind of like us, huh, Paul?
Yeah, kind of. Sinjin, congrats, man. Like, that was like the most obvious thing ever, what was going to happen. And I just watched it happen. I was like, yep, of course.
You'll love to see it.
Explaining to my wife what I was doing while I was engaging with that art was pretty fun, though. I was like, hey, that's Web3, baby.
Don't look at my screen. This is not kids friendly.
No, I don't think I want that
Oh, I
there.
love you guys. All right, we have an insanely packed show. I know I say that most weeks, but today it is definitely more true than ever. Real quick, anybody that's in the audience, love you guys all tremendously. Anybody that says their favorite intro that's coming up is going to be getting a chance to win a Hytopia node whitelist. I'm going to be able to give a bunch of those out, and I'm also
Hytopia node whitelist.
The space in the first like 15 minutes. We got a lot of giveaways. We got some stuff to burn through, so we're gonna make sure that those go to well-deserving people. But up first, buckle up for a high-speed ride into the future with the man who leaped from the safety of Web 2 into the electrifying unknown of Web 3. He's not just a visionary; he's a revolution on 4 legs. A trailblazer in the terra incognita of tech. He's so good at Dump Date Mary, I've heard he's being recruited by Tinder, Grindr, and Christian Mingle, representing the cutting-edge ETH lizards. He's the digital dynamo. It was rewriting the rules of gaming infrastructure. He's got the insight of a seer and the daring of a pioneer. Welcome back to the panel, the champion of choice, the CEO. It's Animositas.
Hey.
Love it, Sam. Look, you already dropped some of the alpha. Christian Mingle, absolutely sponsor of ETH Lizards moving forward. Biggest surprise in the
So good to hear Animositas back.
No, in all seriousness, pleasure to be back. It's been way too long since I was able to join you all on the stage, and I kind of like you guys too a lot.
Aww.
Great to have you back, man. And let me know whenever Christian Mingle needs some new content creators. Okay, we'll slide in. Seamlessly syncing strategy with scorching skirmishes, he's transformed the terrain of the first-person frontier, firing up fans and fueling frenzied firefights, and guiding this game with the gravitas garnered from governing a grand $100 million budget with Twitch Prime. His marksmanship and marketing is as masterful as a sniper's sight. Every bullet, blast, and ballistic in his arsenal aligns with his audacious ambition. But beyond the blazes and barrage, at day's dusk, he descends into the delightful duty of a dad.
Already 67 comments. That's crazy.
Step aside, soldiers, and salute the supreme shrapnel sharpshooter. It's the FPS phenom, the combat connoisseur, representing shrapnel. It's Tony V.
Let's go, Gamified number 52, 1 year in the making.
Yes, you know it. You know the vibes.
Dude, if Tony ever retires from doing stuff that's way cooler than what I'm about to say, he should become a radio show host for sure. You just let me know, Tony.
I got chips and salsa.
I got a face for radio, baby.
I got seltzers. I am ready, guys. I am locked in for this episode.
Squabbles. He's not just a guest. He's a marathon man gracing our stage for the 42nd time. He's the human equivalent of that twist in your favorite TV show, a connoisseur of controversy, yet enlightening. He's the man who could argue that water isn't wet and almost convince you, unless it's Raid Boss, where he'll make 10 baseball analogies and then complain that Sinjin is cheating. You know him, you love him, and even if you don't, you can't help but listen to him. Give it up for the one, the only, the incomparable, the irreplaceable, the mastermind with the Midas touch. It's Jerry.
Yo, what's up? Yeah, I'm actually undefeated at Raid Boss. Well, I'm like 4-1 in Raid Boss. Sinjin just yells at everybody. But I'm happy to be here. Congrats to Sam and Lems on 1 year, man. It's one of my favorite things, and I love you guys. So, yeah, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. Love you too, buddy. I know we always roast each other, but dude, I've been in nostalgic vibes for like 72 consecutive hours, so nobody can take me off of this all-time high of nostalgia that I'm experiencing right now. Up next in the ever-evolving landscape of gaming, where artificial intelligence meets the immutable certainty of blockchain, he stands at the forefront.
Guys, how's the audio? Can you hear the space very well?
Game design at Parallel Studios, he's woven a world
I feel like you
where
can't.
isn't just genre, but a reality where
Let me open
NFTs
up the
aren't
volume
mere
mixer.
tokens, but totems living and breathing in a digital ecosystem. With AI as the pulse,
I just turned that
NFTs
way
as the
up.
vessel, Parallel's colony is an eternal game where here
me check
in
this
every
out.
simulation, items bear the weight of on-chain significance. So welcome back to the panel, the harbinger of harmony, the crusader of the cards, the sentinel of symmetry, the prince of parallel. Of course, it's Koji.
Thanks for having me on yet again. I really appreciate it. And I share a lot of spaces with Shrapnel.
Mic
It's
check,
good to
mic
be
check,
back
1
here
2
with
1
Tony,
2.
man. I love all you guys equally, but I'm happy to hear Tony's voice again.
Likewise, my man. I love you,
I
brother.
think that's okay. Seems like it's good.
That's gonna bode so well for the future. In like an hour and 45 minutes, we're gonna do a callback to this exact moment. But
Ooh.
first, in a world cluttered with conformity, he strides forth with a blunt blade of honesty, slicing through pretense with his controversial takes. A hero to some, a herald of havoc to others, he wields words like a warrior, unafraid to cut to the heart of the matter. Once an executive titan towering over the corporate colossus, he now forges new legends in the gaming galaxy with my angry Yakuza girlfriend,
Hey.
blending the thrill of gaming with the allure of the casino, creating a realm where risk meets romance. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round as we summon from the mists, the myth, the legend, a figure both revered and feared, the enigmatic, the elusive titan of taboo. It's Senjin.
Thank you, Sam. I am a hammer, and you are all my fucking nails. But I am here in I'm here in Manila, and it's 5:09, and so I think I get the record for the most diverse places. I think I've
For
done
sure.
Gamified in Korea, Singapore,
That's amazing.
Bangkok, New York, and I think I did it one time when I was in Switzerland as well. So this has been a fantastic experience, and Sam, you've been a fantastic host, and every one of these intros and every one of these shows and hanging out with, of course, Knock, Wild Paul, Animal Cetas, Peyton, Tony, Koji, and everyone else, and Brian. It's been fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Did you just name everyone but Jerry?
Yeah, he did. Dude, that was crazy, bro.
That was amazing. Actually, it's perfect.
He's like, you think
That was better than any intro that I could have had for.
And he's not gonna correct it. So funny.
47 consecutive episodes from that lad. Can you friggin' believe it? From so many different time zones. What an absolute monster. Listeners, lend your ears for the legend we're about to introduce as a juggernaut who journeyed from joysticks to judgments. From cutthroat competitions, he carved a path creating champions and crafting high-caliber creators. With 11 and Sora Esports now at Magic Eden, he meticulously manages and molds the marketplace, making it the magnet for many in the metaverse, symbolizing the summit of Polygon's prowess. Actually, I should change that to be like everybody's prowess now that you guys are so fucking chain agnostic. Congrats. With the every discourse, he dazzles by dissecting discussions with a deftness that is distinctly his domain. So welcome back to the panel, the Emperor of Esports, the Maven of Magic Eden. It's Knock.
Yo, Gamified 52 is off to a really weird start. I've been on 3 separate walks in 3 very different parts of the city today, and I've seen the same man and his dog. I don't know if I'm following him or if he's following me, but we're here for it.
Knock is
a flat
hilarious,
circle,
dude.
Knock. Be careful out there, dude. There's some serious Matrix deja vu shit happening. Positioned at the pinnacle of play, he personifies the pure power of pioneering spirit. A prodigy who propelled Age of Empires to popularity, this paragon of pixel perfection pivoted to plant his prowess in the panorama of mobile marvels, producing the phenomenon Words with Friends. From a paltry proposal, he parried and prevailed, persuading Zynga with his pitch, propelling the price from a mere pittance of $20 million to a prolific payout of 180 million. Now, as Wildcard waits in the wings, this patriarch of programming prepares to plunge into the potential packed province of Web3, promising another pioneering project. Proud papa to trio of progeny, he pairs his paternal instincts with the professional, proving that the principles of parenting and pioneering can indeed prosper in parallel. So prepare to pay homage to the potentate of play, the prolific, the polite, the polished. It's the peerless paramount Paul Bettner.
Yo,
Sam, I have to take this moment to express my deepest appreciation to you, to the incredible people that you've brought on this panel over the last year that have truly, for me, become a foundation. Like every time that I'm like, am I in the right place? Am I, is Web3 where we need to be, where we can do the best work? I come on Gamified and I'm reminded, I'm taught, I'm surrounded by the brilliant, lovely folks that you've brought on this show, and the audience and the folks here that's supporting the work that we're doing. I just, this for me has become the rock that I have been building Wildcard on top of, and Web3, our integration, our work there. I'm really, really grateful for this show, for you all. I can't wait for the next year. Thanks for having me again.
Always an absolute pleasure, my brother. I can't thank you enough for giving us your time. I know I say it often, but it really means the world to me. And before I get emotional, crank up the charisma and cue the kudos for this next panelist who crafts killer content and is conquering social media. This man has miraculously multiplied followers for not just one, not just two, but 5 social media accounts in the past couple of years.
Who are we
As the
talking about?
Herculean head honcho of gaming growth at Avalanche, he's
Oh,
transformed them into an
Coop?
Arctic
Oh,
Titan,
it's
a
Coop.
behemoth in the
It's
blizzard
Coop,
of
baby.
blockchain, and a social media savvy individual. Cast your minds back to 2019 when this captain of clicks clinched the coveted crown of search engine marketer of the year. He's not just playing the game of socials, he's a one-man orchestra and a titan of tweets. Commence the applause and prepare to be captivated, for here comes the digital dynamite, the commander of content. It's Coop.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Happy to be here. Happy we're sponsoring now. I know we weren't here for the full 52, but I think we did a little bit of our part.
You absolutely did, Coop. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, how
And,
dare you,
got a
Coop,
little
not
ditty for you
sponsor
guys,
all of the
a little bit later
episodes.
as well. At the helm of the Wolves DAO, this man is woven a web of inclusive exclusivity, creating a haven for like-minded visionaries, capped at 300 members with no way to buy your way in. It's truly a unique place in Web3 gaming. Of course, I'm talking about the Wolves DAO. And as the marketing director for Champions Ascension, he's taken in Arita Battler and catapulted it to the Web2 spotlight by making it now available on Steam. Yet beyond the bits and bytes, this benevolent mentor, ever eager to enlighten the members of his pack, and a doting father whose heart knows no bounds. Please welcome back to the panel the patron of poochers, the curator of canines. It's Peyton Okalanika Bovainuika Levehea.
Let's go, baby. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. Let's get it, dude. 52 weeks. Also, disclaimer, me and Icy are match commenting, which means that every single comment you put in, me and Icy will put in too. So, good to go. We're getting to 1,000 today.
If only my 401k worked that same way, dude. We would be so whatever the inverse of down bad is. We'd be up good. This next individual is no ordinary. He's the epitome of intelligence, a paragon of proficiency, yet as humble as the gentlest sheep's in wolves' clothing. With King of Destiny hitting the market, he's poised on the precipice of greatness, ready to catapult the world of Web3 gaming into stratospheric success. But it's not just his professional prowess that sets him apart. No, it's his ability to uplift and to inspire. He speaks and the room lights up. He advises and strategies soar. So brace yourself for an infusion of inspiration and a dose of delight. Here comes the humble hero of high hopes, the most handsome man in Web3. It's Brian DeSanto.
Oh, my man, Sam, you're too kind. Thank you for having me back. Always great to be here with you legends and titans. I have to congratulate you. Doing anything for 52 weeks in Web3 feels like a heroic effort. You are one in a million.
That's so funny.
But to be here week in and week out through sickness and health is truly unprecedented. So congrats to you. Pumped to be here. Let's get it.
Thanks, man. I got to give a shout out, of course, to Lems too. And having GDC coming up soon is kind of trippy because I met so many of you guys at GDC for the first time. Brian DeSanto, me and Fresco, or Jerry, I think Sinjin, Knock, Wild Paul, Koji, like all of us, we might have talked on the internet before, but that was the first meeting ground. So again, just so much nostalgia happening in these couple of weeks. I can't wait to see you guys in March. And I want to give a shout out real quick to Tony as well. Tony with an H. Of course, I love T Valk on the stage with us behind the Shrapnel account, but Tony with an H, not many people know him because he's super behind the scenes. But I wrote him an intro for episode 1, and I wanted to share it just to give people a little bit of context of how bad the intros used to be, and give a shout out to Tony because he actually helped conceptualize Gamified. He was super supportive the first few weeks. He had some issues in his personal life, so then he kind of bowed out. But I feel so much appreciation for him. So his original intro was Neo Tokyo, My Pet Hooligan, Collider Craft, and Wolves DAO. We get it, bro. You're cooler than us. And that was the entire intro. So we've come a long way. But big shout out to Tony, man. I appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing well out there. And ladies and gentlemen, lend your ear to the linchpin of our lively lexicon, the littlest luminary with the loftiest of lore. When our dialogue lingers, he lays down the law, lighting the lamp that leads us. Weighing in at 2.4 pounds, let's laud the liaison, the lightweight with the lion heart. For the 52nd consecutive week in a row, it's the Little Lizard Legends, Lambs.
GM, can't believe it is 52 weeks in a row. I remember you saying you want this to be the biggest space in Web3 gaming, or maybe it was GameFi back then as you showed that screenshot. That's what we all called it last year, but now we've moved on from that term. But here we are, and it's the vision has come true, so yeah, hats off.
Couldn't do it without you,
By my
Lems.
side was it possible, and of course these guys as well, ardent admirers and audacious gamers, blockchain believers, and digital daydreamers assemble for the arrival of another amazing episode of Gamified. But before we brave this breathtaking binary byway, let's acclaim and adore Avalanche, the awe-inspiring, authoritative, and absolute anchor of our astronomical adventure, the official blockchain of Gamified. Avalanche, in its astounding ascent, audaciously alters and amplifies the arcane intricacies of this ledger into an articulate, accessible atlas of astounding possibilities. It's a monumental marvel of innovation.
Yo, Sam
and a
is on
relentless
point
roaring
today.
river of daring dynamic developments. Thank you to Avalanche for helping make 52 episodes of Gamified a possibility. And lock and load, ladies and gentlemen, and aim your sights as we zero in on our another explosive endorser, Shrapnel, the official game of Gamified. March into a minefield and prepare for an artillery assault of adrenaline in the explosive arena of Web3 warfare with this first-person shooter fiesta. Navigate your way to shrapnel.com and list your profile and launch a barrage of comments, likes, and retweets for today's show for a chance to win $50 extraction packs, an operator, plus a cache of other valuable victories. So gear up, gather your wits and weapons, and get ready to grenade your way to glory. And don't forget, on Friday, they have another playtest coming up for operator holders, so I'm really excited for people to get in on that. Peyton, the hand is up. What's up,
You
man?
missed an intro, brother. For 52 weeks, I will try and attempt to do one for my big brother right here. So, the next speaker has broken all barriers when it comes to content creation, not only absolutely owning the dance niche on YouTube for a decade and securing over 5 billion views with his brother, only 4 billion being from his parents, but it's absolutely revolutionized how Twitter spaces are run on the platform, making all other spaces inferior and raising the standard of content creation on the platform, making Web3 gaming inevitable. Previously at Iron Belly and ETH Lizard, CMO of Wolves DAO, and now full-time content creator. Congratulations, brother. You deserve it. But sorry, ladies, he is now off the market, engaged to the love of his life that stuck with him through the good and the bad. Please give it up for the content creator of the year of 2023, the voice of Web3 gaming, the host of Gamified, Sam Stefanino!
Woo!
That was iconic. That was iconic. That was amazing. Sam is speechless.
He's speechless. Speechless.
Yeah, you just rugged yourself, Sam. You're muted.
That was amazing.
I'm in shambles. I don't know what to do. This has never happened. I just wanted to say thank you so much, man. That was incredible. That made my day. I also want to make sure we grab somebody who said their favorite introduction in the comments. Make sure we hook them up with that whitelist, as well as somebody that retweeted. So, Lems, if you can grab that. But we're going to jump in with our very first topic. We're starting off with Chads or Chumps. Army of Fortune had some great news last week. Bybit listed their coin, $3 million raised by Animoca, airdrop coming down the pipeline. How could this possibly go wrong? But none of that, unfortunately, compared to announcing that their token airdrop would not be instantaneous, but instead be a 10% upfront. And then I think it was a 6-month and then a 12-month cliff or something. Now they've changed it again. So it's 0% upfront with a 3-month cliff and then unlocked over 18 months. And Army of Fortune has just absolutely bombed by 70% in the past week. My question for the panel, are these guys Chads because they made a more sustainable long-term decision and told everybody exactly how it would work? Or are they chumps because they didn't play the Web3 game and potentially misled their audience? There's a lot of tweets and threads and stuff going around about things they may or may not have said in spaces or in Discord, etc. I just want to remind everybody this is not financial advice. Please don't buy NFTs based on what we say. Go get a financial advisor if you need that. But I'm going to send it over to Mr. Wild Paul to kick us off on this one first.
I don't know because I'm not in the room where it's happening and where these guys are making these decisions. But I have been in our own room where we've had many similar conversations about how we would handle such types of events and such milestones on the project. And I just wanted to say, like, these things take. I think when they're done right, they take an insane amount of upfront planning and because like a lot of these things are one-way door, right? You only get to do them once forever. You can't go back and change things. That's like the sort of inherent nature of a blockchain and the technologies we work with is like once you distribute and deploy certain aspects of your project, whether it's a token, NFTs, etc. Like that's it. That's the thing that the project now kind of lives with and lives or dies on. And so what always surprises me in this case is like I know in our case we will have months, sometimes years of planning that are going into the biggest Web3 moments that are planned for Wildcard. And a lot of times these things, when I see them play out, sometimes for other projects, it's like did you guys not anticipate that? These things would have, like, if you'd done like a, you know,
Right.
decision tree,
Great
like we
point.
talk about, like,
Great
okay,
point.
what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Like, a lot of these things can be seen ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's not entirely predictable, but I just, you know, I would just like to see a little more. Some of these things seem seat of the pants to me, and this one does have that kind of feeling to it as well. And I would just love to have projects take these moments a little more seriously, think them in advance, be willing to delay. You know, because I think that the community ultimately just wants the project to get it right, even if it doesn't happen exactly when the project said. But even in that case, like, shipping the right thing at the right time is part of that planning as well. So it's just a little disappointing to me.
Well said. I think Tony from Shrapnel had the hand up next.
Yeah, you know, I think that I feel a couple of ways about this. I agree with everything Paul said. I think that planning is so important, and it feels like there wasn't a lot done here, at least not the level of rigor that I would have been excited about participating in what they did with. I also know that it is really tough to, like, look down the barrel of a set of decisions that maybe you didn't make, but now you're trying to work within, or circumstances you work within. I do have a lot of sympathy for, or empathy for that situation to be in. I think that what I've observed as maybe the miss has been like, I feel like there's no reason why those guys, whoever, shouldn't be on this space and fucking simplified and like literally like pounding the pavement. And maybe they did reach out, Sam, and you're like, I don't want you on my spaces, fuck you. But if I were on that team, I would be just hitting everyone up and being like, hey guys, listen, we had an event this week. You know, to Paul's point about planning, I probably would have been doing this weeks ago. I'm like, hey, we're gonna have a thing. We're gonna announce. It's gonna be a big deal. Crypto Twitter is gonna fucking go ballistic, and we'd like to make sure that we're able to be in front of that and talking about it. And so can we get on your show on this date? We'll give you the alpha, know what's going, so you know what's going on. Like, it feels like that's the kind of motion that I would expect from myself, and hope that I would have the wherewithal to put in place. It's great learning as we all live in this environment together. But I think that's where I would have leaned in if I were them, with like the right now kind of always on communication, being violently transparent, and defending the position that they took, whether or not it was what you said, like, hey, we made a hard decision and sorry that you don't get as much money as you wanted, or hey, like, we fucked up and probably said some stuff that we shouldn't have and made you feel a certain way. And I guess you probably can't say that because everyone goes to jail, but like, I would workshop that kind of message and try to figure out how I could be in front of it constantly.
I just wanted to quickly jump on this. Exactly what I'm talking about. The advice, the perspective is all out there. I saw many takes on this, like Spark C talking about, like, these things don't have to be a surprise for projects.
Yeah.
Like, reach out to folks on this panel, reach out to the wolves, reach out. Like, there are lots of people that will candidly give your opinion, their informed opinion about how they think things are going to go before something happens. And I just want to see more projects take advantage of the great voices out there willing to help and inform these projects before they kind of, you know, run into the problems.
Well said, Paul. And just quickly, I'm going to give the retweet whitelist for the Hytopia node to Soul Huckster in the comments. And then 4K3 said his favorite intro was Peyton's For Me. And I wanted to give Peyton a mini shout out too, because that was awesome. So we're giving it to 4K3. Big shout out. Thanks, buddy. Make sure you guys DM Lems to get those whitelists. We'll make sure he takes care of it. Brian DeSanto tagging you in. Your thoughts on Army of Fortune. Oh, and real quick, Paul, I can confirm, and Tony, they did not reach out to me. I've actually had them on many of my shows, and I love them and Coco, and they haven't asked at all. So that, yeah, whatever. Do with that what you will. Brian.
I mean, you have no choice but to label them chumps, because they are the first project, I believe, in Web3 history that's gotten Dingaling to sell literally anything. So something clearly was fucked up. But I think this is where the age-old adage comes into play, where if you're trying to work in Web3 and launch a project here, please hire a degen that you trust and knows the space and understands the protocol. You know, I think this is a great example of trying to harness hype and excitement and
like
take
Brian.
over the cycle.
I like Brian
but
a lot.
Not setting expectations correctly. Sparksy had a fantastic post about this. If they had been quiet about it and decided to roll this out with vesting and a small amount up front, no problem. But if you go down the path of, we're going to hype the shit out of this, we're going to promise all of this value to holders, we're going to pump secondary pricing. At best, that's ignorance. At worst, it's completely nefarious, and it's completely intentionally misleading your holders in the market.
That's
So
how it feels.
look, I get that this is hard. I totally agree with Paul and Tony. Launching tokens is so complex and so complicated, but I think if you had any ounce of foresight, it was very obvious how this was going to play out. My hope is that they missed on this and it wasn't intentional.
Well said. Going to Fresco next. God damn it, Jerry. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah, I think I agree wholeheartedly with Brian. I had a take on this yesterday in the Wolves DAO Discord. That take, after seeing the announcements that have come since then, was probably wrong. I do like that they're making, a decision that's probably going to be better for them in the long term, right? But you can't just lean totally into Web3, lean totally into the degeneracy that exists in this space, say all the things that they said, and then when the moment comes, be like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. It's not the Web3 way whatsoever, right? Because that's completely just misleading. And I like the team a lot, but it's very obvious that they're just missing a piece, right now. I think that piece is a Web3 native. But then, I sometimes doubt that because they were doing so fucking good at it up until the announcement. They did everything right. Everybody was so jazzed up and excited about what these guys were doing, and then they just fell flat on their face. And I think that the Brian put it best. Is at best it's ignorant, but at worst they completely misled everybody. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of smoke. And you guys know my background, right? Sometimes where there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire.
Boo. I see in the comments says
Freestyle
1,000%
that.
agree. He says 1,000% agree with Paul, Tony, Brian. It feels like the holders were misled and let down big time. Poor communication. I'm gonna send it over to Knock next.
Yeah, maybe I'm scared and apprehensive to give this take because I think it's going to disagree with a lot of the voices that have already spoken here. But I think that there's a couple of things that, if you look at this objectively, is really difficult to get upset about. At a high level, when we talk about the types of teams that we want to have in this space, we tend to say things like, we want teams who have real game dev experience, i.e., Supercell. We want teams who have real players, i.e., the tune of millions of downloads across their games and their ecosystem. We want teams who understand social media, i.e., a great Twitter presence and multiple TikTok accounts with literally millions of followers across hundreds of millions of likes. Better than pretty much everybody else in the space combined. Then we say things like, we want teams to find people who are Web3 native to handle their go-to-market strategy. And they work with a great team that a lot of us love. A lot of the people in the space know them very closely, and we talk great things about the team and what they've done for previous launches. So you go down the list of the things that we want to see in a Web3 team, and they check off the box. We've got real world experience. We have a game. People play our game. We have social media growth. We know how to run a social campaign. We created a shit ton of value for people who are minted our assets. And then you find out that your $1,600 that you got for free wasn't $4,000 that you got for free, or at least it wasn't $4,000 that you got for free immediately, and everybody turns on them. To me, I think it's a reminder of how difficult things are for founders in this space, because you can create a bunch of value, you can make people a bunch of money, but if you don't make them enough money, you're public enemy number one. And a lot of the things that people were frustrated with, 10% unlock, you're going to have a 36-month cliff, yada, yada, yada. I mean, Jupe is doing a 10% unlock every year over the course of the next X number of years. And people love the way that Jupiter is handling their airdrop, right? For people who are using their platform. If you work in tech, if you work for any company, your vesting schedule is typically 36 to 48 months. So now you've got a team who's built a great game, who's done an excellent job of social. They've deeply ingrained themselves in the ecosystem. They're coming on spaces. They're talking about the things that they're building, and then they do something that is a little more professional than the degen behavior we're used to, and everybody rips them apart. It's a little discouraging from my perspective, and I think for the perspective of a lot of founders who are thinking about doing something similar, because at some point you're going to need teams who handle things and create plans that are a blend of the Web3 ethos and how actual businesses operate. And from my perspective, was it a hit? No. Could they have done it better? Absolutely. Was it a let's burn this project to the ground and banish them to the shadow realm? Of course not. It's just absurd. I think it's disheartening for people who are building in the space. I don't love the idea that they're getting the amount of shit that they're getting.
Well said, and big shout out to Knock. He wasn't feeling well a couple of days ago, but he's powering through to be here with us today, man. Appreciate you. Sinjin tagging you in next. What are your thoughts on AOFers, Chads or Chumps?
They were Chads who became chumps, unfortunately. And for people who are saying that they, didn't know what they were doing in terms of Web3,
They knew.
I know they got the fucking best advice they could have gotten from the best narrative creators in Web3. I think the issue is a miscalculation here. They went for it. They went for a free mint. I think that they were assuming they were going to get a lot of volume on it. But the fact of the matter is the raise ended up being, in terms of like the royalties, I think only like something a little bit over 23K or something like that. And at the end of the day, they had to adjust. I love Coco. I think that the team is solid. But there's the real implications of going out there and playing this Web3 game hardcore, and then seeing what the results are. And the reality is that they could have doubled down. They could have done exactly what the expectations were, and they would even fuck themselves even more. And then they went to kind of really pivot. But like you play this game, and it's a really sick double-edged sword in Web3, because if you hit it and you're hitting it in this attention economy, there is this kind of formula for it, but it's so fragile, right? It's like you're playing like against this very ethereal market and attention sentiment. And then if you hit it, fuck, you're a superstar and you fucking mint. And if you don't, you're left with the implications of whatever it is. And I have to conclude that, man, Web3 is like a psychotic, demanding mistress. And she definitely isn't your Italian Goomba.
Oh
New
my god,
best quote.
that was amazing, dude. All right, we're gonna send it over to Koji next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with oh my god, I can't even knock on this one. Sorry, knock.
Wow.
Like, well, I was trying to remember who made the point because I'm also typing an email at the same time. Apologies, Sam. But
Boo.
I know, doing work. The one thing that Web3 founders should never do, right? Uh, I think that to paraphrase Sinjin, like you can't iterate on an open economy, you fuckheads or whatever. Like it seems like in Web3 you can't iterate on shit, like period, because otherwise people will get pissed at you. And like I get that, like they said one thing and then things change and whatever, but we have to allow room for that to be the case, because we can't be the corner of the internet that says, we're welcoming and people should iterate out in the open, and look at all these brave teams doing all this crazy shit and showing us behind the curtain, and then when they make a change be like, fuck you, you said this thing, if you didn't, like, if you weren't sure, you shouldn't have said anything. Like, so then you like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. In that case, like, you got to choose one or the other. And if you want to see how things work, people change, decisions change, and as long as it's in the best interest of the project, and not just the people who bought into the project now, right, but the long term sustainability of the project, then you just gotta, like, take what you got and shut the fuck up.
Oh,
And
talk about it.
I'm not speaking from experience here, because I love the parallel community and I would never tell them to shut the fuck up, but here we are.
You'll just tell other people's communities to shut the fuck up, and then you and Tony could trade. You could tell Shrapnel people to shut up, and then he could. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Somewhere in there is a solution. Real quick, anybody that comments Chad or Chump, I'm gonna give them another Hytopia node whitelist. Not everybody, but we'll pick somebody at the end of this segment. Tons of hands to get through. I want to move on shortly, but I am gonna work my way through the hands. Lems, what you got, real quick?
I was going to say, we got a message from Paul there. The boss has approved a Wild Pass giveaway, so we'll be able to give away a Wild Pass on today's show, as well as all the other whitelists and operators. So yeah, shout out, dropping good comments in there, and we will get a Wild Pass out to someone who
And
comments.
shout out to Wild Kate. She's the boss, in case you didn't know, and she's the one who approved this. So I am very happy, very, very pleased, and just to express our gratitude for 52 weeks of Gamified.
Thank you guys so much. That means the world to me. If you could just send her a follow-up text real quick and check if hosts are eligible to win this giveaway, that'd be fantastic. I'm going back to Animositas.
Oh, I love Annie's
so,
takes.
Koji, don't worry about the whole Nox thing. He's probably playing RuneScape anyways. He didn't notice the email. That said, in general, I think the main point for founders here has to be on expectation management. And I'm probably more in the chump camp than some of the other comments here. In my opinion, you have a choice as a founder what you're positioning your project for success. Is it a very short term, hardcore Web3 trader, jump in, make sure everyone gets maximum value immediately? Or are you focusing on building something sustainably? And I don't think that it's a pure binary decision, but the way that you present the project, the information that you share with your community is absolutely targeted. And I don't believe any founders that have experience in the sector at all, if they say, yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing, it got out of hand. That was fine in 2020 and 2021, not in 2024. We've been around way too long, and especially with advisory groups that exist all over the sector. I think you have to, in any aspect of life, set expectations appropriately, and that's going to dictate the response that people give you. And I don't think you can complain afterwards if you did a poor job of that and then people got upset.
Good stuff,
Very well
Annie.
said, Annie. I'll go back to Jerry.
Yeah, I just want to push back on what I don't disagree with anything Koji or Nox said. I think that they're right. AOF first did 99% of what they're doing right, but that this flop was a pretty major flop, and I think you can equally look at them as a project, and I think they tried to have their cake and eat it too, right? You can't work people into a fever pitch and then splash cold water on their face. You can't have all your marketing in one way and then at the last second just go like, nope. They're Fire Festival. Like that's how I see them. Like they got everybody super excited, and then at the last second they took the wind out of everybody's sails. And Koji, I think as a founder, you should shut the. No, I'm just kidding. I would never say that to you. I love you too much.
Wild Paul, back to you.
It's so rare that I get to disagree with Knock that I had to just raise my hand again so that I could disagree with Knock. I think that Animosita's take is 100% correct. It's all about expectation management. That's exactly the phrase I had in my head as we've been having this whole conversation. And I just want to say, in my experience, the higher the stakes, the more and more important expectation management becomes, no matter how good of a job you're doing, no matter, to Knock's point, how professional, how long-term focused, how best for your community overall, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it turns out that even if you're creating the best products and the best long-term decisions, et cetera, and you don't manage expectations well, not just in Web3, but certainly like look at public companies. This is a thing that happened this week. I don't know if you guys noticed. There was a bunch of these news articles about how iOS 17 or something, like the next version of the iPhone operating system, was quote unquote not going to be a major iteration, not going to be a big change. Everybody should just, and this was like leaked information or whatever. It's not leaked information. It's 100% Apple seeding those expectations to the market, secretly back channeling to their contacts or whatever to drop these stories so that expectations are lowered for iOS 17 and can be then higher for iOS 18 or whatever the version that comes after that. They do this shit all the time. And giant public companies, even the ones that have the best NPS scores like Apple, are still in a position of having to manage expectations for their great products and services all the time. It's just part of the game, like Sinjin said. I completely agree with this point. So I can't really have sympathy for that because I've been in that room a million times. I was part of a public company when we went public with Zynga. I know what it's like when the stakes are that high, and it's just part of the game you have to play.
A bunch of amazing comments. I'll get to them after we work our way through the hands. I'll go back to knock your rebuttal for Mr. Wild Paul saying he disagrees with you. The audacity, dude.
No, and I think it's a fair point. But what I'll say is this: it's frustrating because we sit here and we beat this drum of like we really need teams in this space to succeed. We need to make sure that teams are doing things sustainably, that they're around for 5 or 6 years, so that they can set a good example for some of the large incumbents, people for like the AAA studios that we all love and the games that we all play, to feel comfortable taking the leap into this space, right? If I'm an executive at one of those studios and I use them as a case study and I look and I go, okay, they gave away an asset for free. That asset pretty much immediately spawned at like $1,600 worth of value. Even now, it's trading at multiple hundreds of dollars worth of value. And then they said, hey, we're not done yet. We're going to give you guys more. We're going to give you more. And you find out that that more is a couple of $100 immediately, and then maybe $50 to $100 every month for the next 3 years. And the impact and the response from their community and from their audience was like, fuck you guys, that's not enough. Like, Web3, like traditional AAA teams are already balking at the idea of giving anybody value. And I'm going to pick on Jerry for a second because I've actually heard the Fire Festival thing twice today, once on Twitter and once on the space now. And the difference between this and Fire Festival is, for Fire Festival, you paid $2,000 and didn't get anything. Here, you paid no $1,000, received $1,500, and then were rewarded even further for holding that asset to the point where they're going to drop you some more money, and then you're going to have more money coming in for the next 36 months. Was it well executed? Absolutely not. Could they have done it better? 100% they could have. Should they probably still reconsider their approach? Definitely. Was it an all-time fumble? Absolutely not. I think it's ridiculous. And when you really peel back the layers and you look at why people are mad, you're not mad because they didn't handle it well. You're not mad because they didn't set expectations. Like, sure, pretend that that's the case, but we all know why you're mad. You're mad because you didn't get as much free money as you thought you were going to get, and you chose to turn on a team for it. I get it. I understand that there's a lot of nuance to this topic, but at its core, that's what this is about. You're upset you didn't get more money, and I think it's ridiculous.
Some people paid free, but some people bought at 0.7. You know what I mean?
That was going to be my point too. Like
100%.
same thing with like the
and those people that bought at 0.7 probably did so because of the team's messaging.
100%.
And anybody who, you know, if people are just mad because they didn't get any free money, also fuck those people. I'm very happy to say that. You know, I think that like the whole airdrop system, I think is sometimes a little bit of a toxic thing in Web3. You're right, Knock, but I think a lot of people, you know, it's easy for people to say like, oh, you know, we didn't tell you to buy on secondary, but you know, we did have a lot of influence and we did spend a lot of effort.
I just had to add to this because that's exactly the conversation we have internally. Of course, we talk about
What
like
up,
we're on
Taylor?
pass, you know,
Appreciate
it's minted at $44. It's up like, you know, at 0.6 ETH right now. But we're always now talking about those people who just yesterday bought it at 0.62 ETH. And how are we going to like, you know, be there for those people? How are we going to manage the expectations and build value and allow those people to grow value in that together with us, which is our goal. Like and that's like, you can't avoid that conversation. We're not allowed to go back and say, yeah, but what about those people that did it, you know, last year at 44 Matic or whatever? Like, that's just, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that that's fair, but at the core of this, like, any time that anybody has done an airdrop, people are relating the size of that airdrop to their entry point into that collection. I don't think it's entirely fair for every team that chooses to reward users via airdrop to have to like dollar cost average what everybody purchased, what the average user spent on the asset, and make sure that their airdrop makes enough money relative to the average price of the consumer. I get the sentiment. I think that there's an inherent, you know, you have an inherent belief and structure that you have to support the people who buy into your collection, buy into the game, the ecosystem that you've created. But I think ultimately, like, things need to make sense. Like, what was the dollar amount that people were going to be okay with, right? Even then, I bought in at 0.7. Paul got it for free. I don't think that my dollar amount was enough relative to what he got. You're never going to please people, and I think that that's the core of this problem.
Just real quick. I'm sorry. I know there's hands up, but I have to jump in on this. I think part of this is actually, so when we talk to our attorneys about how we think about NFTs and tokens and other things, one of the key points, and I know we've talked about this in other topics, is like, these are not supposed to be assets where somebody has the expectation that they just acquire a thing and that thing goes up in value based on the work of someone else. Even though implied, it seems like that's always how we talk about it. But I'm telling you guys, the way out of this conversation is to not think about your users that way, to think this is supposed to be, the things that we're creating here are supposed to be assets that allow those people to put in the time and effort and grow their affiliation with the project over time. If we do treat these things like shares, then it gets us into all the problems you're talking about, Knock. But I'm telling you, internally, the way that we navigate this is to continue to remind ourselves that these assets are not shares. They're utility focused things that are supposed to allow users to opportunity within our
Sports Card
ecosystem
Life.
to grow that affiliation and
Pick
value.
a number
And
through
when we do
1
that,
through
we end up setting
100,000.
expectations automatically correctly with our users.
Is that a
They don't think
million?
they're just here for free money or a free luxury, or
100,000.
that it's just a share that they can purchase that's going to go up in
Number
value. They feel
between
like,
there.
no, I'm
I'm
here
gonna go.
because
Oh,
or this asset
I'm gonna go
represents a thing I can do, a thing I
83,469.
can be a part of, value that I can add and contribute and then get value back. And that ends up being the saving for us anyway, the thing that helps us manage those expectations.
All right, boys, I see 3 more hands up. I'm going to give them 30 seconds each, and then we're going to move on. I'll start with Sinjin.
I missed the rest
I'm
of
gonna
Paul's
take more
point.
than 30 seconds, so don't fucking cut me off. But I want to say, I love Knock. Knock is a champion for the companies in Web3, and this is always his take, and I respect that so much because he comes from that paradigm and he's unmoving from that. But in this case, you have to really look at the people in the space who really understand what's going on. I mean, the free mints in some ways is really, and I agree with while Paul on this, is like it's a bait and switch and stuff like that because they do have an expectation that they are going to do this free mint and they're going to get the secondary trade volume on the royalties. Now, if in the case where that didn't really work out and there's a miscalculation because people traded on Blur or so on and so forth, and they didn't use a 721C. I mean, these are kind of issues on the execution. But in terms of managing expectation, I mean, it's so incredibly important to do that. And then if you're doing it in terms of knowingly setting those expectations to kind of create this environment where you're getting the secondary volume, you have this kind of
Taylor,
secondary
what was that?
agenda, like that's fucked up. I mean, I'll give you an example. We did do our mint, and obviously we went through all this, and it looks like that I'm the most naive Web3 founder, but I see everything. I mean, the reality is everyone's playing this DJing game, and I'm fundamentally fucking evil. Like, this is all fucking child's play. But the reality is, like, you look at it, and there is this huge fucking liability there where people are not really understanding. They're like children not really realizing the consequences of what they're doing. And someone DM'd, a few people DM'd Jerry, and they're like, okay, this black card thing, what free shit do I get? What kind of tokens, whatever like that? And, what am I going to get off of it? And then I went on the next space and I went off on these people and I said, this is a fucking black card. It's for access. It's for people who fucking spend, who want to be there to build. It's not for you fucking hood rats who want free shit. So get the fuck out of here. You're not the ones that I fucking want, on my, partnered with us. And the reality is, like, what is the objective of all of these NFT launches? Is it for funding? Is it for hype? Is it for awareness? Like for us, it was basically finding alignment of who's going to be there for us to like kind of move forward together in what we think what is Web3. So love Knock. I love that he's a champion. In this case, you know what? You have to manage expectations, and let's be real here. Like Animasita had said before, we fucking know what we're doing here. And they made a massive miscalculation. I'm glad they didn't double down on it, but the backlash is something that unfortunately is part of the game.
In Sinjin's world, that was actually only 15 seconds. So thank you for being so brief. Jerry, over to you.
Yeah, Sam, you asked a bunch of us earlier, like, what is our favorite thing about Gamified? And this discussion is like a perfect example, right? Like, it's so cool to be able to have like these
100%.
discussions. Yeah,
I
like
love when we disagree. It's
yeah,
so
I
good.
love being able to talk about these things like in front of everybody, and we're all figuring it out, a lot of the times together. And this is like iconic Gamified to me. So this is why we love the show, man.
Well said. And on top of that, I would love for everybody to like celebrate these people. Their honesty is why they're able to do this. Or sorry, really, it's the people in the comments.
Yeah, Taylor, I'm
not,
trying to
like,
farm a
trying
Jupe
to
airdrop
crucify
now.
people for being honest that allows them to be honest, and also it takes a lot from them to be willing to be honest in public. And so that combination of factors, both from the audience and the panel, is just incredible, and I couldn't ask for a better culture that we have here. So thank everybody on both sides of that. Brian DeSanto, I saw your hand go up quick, and then I'll go to Lems.
Real quick, I think we're seeing sort of the book written real time. We forget how nascent this space is and how new things are. I think this blowback is a great learning and teaching moment for teams, both for AOF and beyond. I like their team a lot. I like their founders. I like their products. I'm confident they'll get it right.
You got 200
But I think
tokens?
sometimes
Goddamn, good
have
for
to
you,
push
brother.
back and be honest to help the space do better. So I'm happy that's happening here, and I'm confident they'll get it right.
Well said. Lems, what you got, bud?
A comment from AK, we'll shout out, we'll give you a Hytopia whitelist for this one. And he goes, they're chumps, to be honest. I think the fact they played everything so well right up to the airdrop details is a sign that they knew exactly what they were doing. We see it all the time. Things go really well. Teams get greedy. Community explodes. GG. And just to follow up with that on some of my own thoughts, I totally like see where Knox coming from, and I can agree generally. Like there is this like airdrop, like people just want the free money thing. But I can say like as a non-holder, I think what they did was just so off the mark. They really hyped up the airdrop. They were putting dollar values out before like Christmas in December, like, oh, we're going to be giving $1 million away, all these kind of things. If you lean so much into that financialized aspect and leaning into the speculation, you can't like come crying when you get like bitten by it a little bit later when things don't go your way. It's like you have to measure those expectations and know if you went into the general like chat of their Discord at any time, you see everyone talking about the airdrop. So like they should know what was going on and what was coming. Anyone I would recommend to go read, Sparksy had a nice little diatribe about it on why it was bad and like a really good analogy about basically if you're not expecting a bonus from your regular job and your boss teases you with a bonus and makes it hyped up like it's going to be a big bonus and then you get a tiny bonus, are you going to be pissed? Yeah, you're going to be pissed even though you would not normally have got a bonus.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's one of those things that it's like setting expectations where if your boss just randomly gave you a little bonus, you would have been happy with it, right?
Well said. Yeah, that was a great thread from Spark. Make sure you guys check that out if you want to get even more. And huge shout out to everybody absolutely crushing it in the comments. Almost 300 already. We hope that we can reward you adequately for all being super, super engaged. I love that so much. We're going to jump into some quick stats that we have based on some polls that I did. I want to see from the people on stage and the people in the audience. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on these questions. I'll tell you like 5 seconds after I announce the question what the actual answer is. But number one, is knock artificial intelligence? Yes or no?
People are probably going to say yes, but like obviously
Right,
no.
Literally everybody is the thumbs up. 77% people said yes, knock is AI. Will Wild Paul ever be mean on an episode of Gamified in 2024?
No.
Almost exactly split, I would say, which is perfect because we had an almost exact split in our poll. 51% of people said no, he will never be mean, and 49% said at some point he will be mean. Will Sinjin be on every single episode of Gamified in 2024?
Yes. Yes, he will.
Everybody seems to think yes. 71%.
I just want to set the expectations. That's all I'm doing with my thumbs up.
Paul
like,
was
okay,
mean
dude.
when he said he kind of liked me. He already was mean this year.
I thought so too. You guys don't understand my version of mean, but
Yeah,
maybe
what an
some do
asshole.
because I can't believe that 50% said that anyway. But they haven't seen my Oppenheimer side. Like everybody just gets to see my Barbie side.
Yeah, you people, they don't know Wild Paul. Man,
You
this
needed
guy.
to see me in that. You need to be in that room when I was closing that $180 million deal with Zynga. You'd have seen the Oppenheimer.
Cigarette Paul is wild.
It was nicotine talking. Up next, has Dub completed the redemption arc? Yes or no?
He did, but I want to see him going.
Today.
Oh, shots fired.
51% of people said no, he had not. It looks like we had 2 people on the panel say yes. And then last but not least, is Fresco weak?
Of course, Fresco's
well
weak.
Split again. Okay, 51% said yes, he is weak.
Saw that knock.
49% said no. But you know, we have Jerry now, so Fresco's dead to us. Fuck
That's
that guy.
right. Yeah, he rebranded.
He rebranded just in case. So attention aficionados and adrenaline seekers, amplify your applause and acclaim for our sponsors, Shrapnel, the official, the paramount, the pinnacle, the prime sponsor of Gamified, the official game of Gamified. Shrapnel's not merely a game, it's a supernova, a spectacle, a cataclysm of creativity, a tidal wave of tactical triumphs. It's where pixels and prowess fuse in a furnace of ferocity, forging a frontier of feverish fun. March your mouse to shrapnel.com, the digital domain where dreams don the dog tags of destiny. Here enlisting with your unique call sign catapults you into a cosmos of combat, offering an armory of astonishing assets through the extraordinary extraction pack. And behold, the behemoth.
What's that other airdrop that people are farming, Taylor?
Avalanche, the colossal.
It's you stake your
of the crypto climate stands unshaken as it slices through the icy skepticism like a scorching sword, cutting a crystal path through the blizzard of bewilderment. Avalanche is not just a platform, it's a pathfinder, a pioneer.
It's not safe, but it's that new blockchain that just launched.
With valor and vigor, Avalanche ventures valiantly into the very vortex of volatility. It's not just a legend, it's the lodestar leading us through the labyrinth of the unknown, the light guiding us to lands of logic and lucidity. I got to give a bunch of shout outs. Mr. Knock with the Gamified newsletter has hit 1,000 subscribers in less than 3 months, which I just think is an awesome accomplishment. Big shout out. I got to give a huge shout out as well to the Wolves DAO, which of course is the #1 place to be in Web3 gaming, point blank, period, and has helped Gamified every single step of the way. If you're not in the Wolves DAO, you should be trying to get into the Wolves DAO. And they've been co-hosting this space literally since the very beginning. I also got to give a shout out to the ETH Lizards who helped originally promote Gamified and were a huge part of our origin story. Love the Lizards. And shout out to Influence, Planet Atmos, Hytopia. We got some Elder Gods also from Bride DeSanto, dropped those on us. Wild Passes from Wild Paul. Thank you guys, all of you, so much. Appreciate you letting us reward our wonderful listeners. And last but not least, Coop and Avax also gave us a bonus shrapnel operator to give away today. And Icy is doing a really fun challenge. He posted this insane graphic with like 600 PFPs. And if you can find yours and drop a comment, then you're able to potentially win that shrapnel operator. I think for the wild pass, maybe some of the Elder Gods, we have so much to give away and not enough time. So I'll probably do a post after this. Maybe say your favorite part of the space on that post and give it a retweet. And maybe we can give some of these out that way. I think that would be a really fun way to do it. We move on to big deal, little deal, no deal. TSM Blitz launched their subnet around 2 weeks ago. Mr. Knock is always talking about TSM Blitz and how he can't live without it. They're going to be hosting Avalanche branded tournaments. They're going to have way more ways for fans to interact with their favorite games, especially using blockchain. For reference, and anybody that doesn't know, TSM Blitz has 30 million gamers, and we've seen Starbucks with a ton of success on their on-chain loyalty program. My question for the panel, is this activation similar to the ways we onboard regular users but using blockchain tech? Is it a big deal, little deal, no deal? Do you think we might get a share of those 30 million gamers by virtue of this activation? I'm going to send it over to Knock, who loves TSM Blitz more than anybody I've ever met.
I literally have Blitz open right now because I'm playing League. So I would say from like a Web2 gamer perspective, I just really want to paint a picture for what this app is. It is literally the definitive app when it comes to the Riot Games ecosystem. It is probably the single most important thing from like a companion perspective that exists for League, for Valorant, for TFT, whatever it is that you're playing. For TSM, it is been the lifeblood of that organization for the last 5 or 6 years. It is a cash cow. It brings in a ton of revenue. It has a ton of users. This is as big as it gets for a non-game in the gaming world in Web 2. I think this is a medium deal that has the potential to be a massive deal long term if they execute well. We talked about this a few months ago, but there's this concept of we are never going to onboard Web 2 users to this space going straight from the norms of Web 2 and throw them into the fire of what is Web 3. There needs to be a middle ground where they're comfortable or they're doing things that are Web 3 adjacent. Reward programs, slowly getting people comfortable with the idea of crypto, slowly making them comfortable with the idea of Web3. These are the types of things that we need to be seeing. Blitz is a perfect middle ground. They're a team that is executing at the highest level in the traditional gaming space. They have the capabilities to execute in this space as well.
Payback season is
should they
coming.
so
Yeah.
choose. And they
Taylor,
literally
we
have
gotta,
one of the
dude,
highest
let's capitalize on
concentrations
all of this
of
stuff, Taylor,
gamers
please.
in the world right now across their ecosystem of companion apps. Right now, it's a good thing at the worst, right? It is get people comfortable with the idea of crypto. Let's see where it goes from there. My hope is that it is a great thing and a massive deal. And in next year on episode 104, we're looking back on the success that Blitz had. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't want to just be a Blitz shill, but I do think that they have a lot of good to do within the space.
You'll love to hear it. I'm going to send it over to Coop, the man behind the AVAX on Gaming account. By the way, make sure you give them a follow. Coop, what you got on this one?
Yeah, I think Knock said it really well, and they're taking the slow part very well, and it's very light integrations, and it's going to ramp up over time. I think to become that amazing experience, there's a bunch of potential in terms of like how can they work with Web3 games in the space? How can they sort of bring people from their digital wallet, which barely feels like crypto, into the space more? And that's going to be the challenging part to get right, right? Because users are going to be a little scared, they're going to be unsure, they're going to need guidance, and that's the area where I think we need to make sure that the people on this stage actually have an impact on them, and talk to the leaders at Blitz, because I know Adel is the main guy leading the charge. He is a degen. He's in the space, but I think he needs more people like us to help understand like the potential of what everything that they can do and should do in the space.
Well said. Wild Paul, send it over to you next.
Man, that the last thing that you just said was exactly what I was going to say. Like this ties directly to what we were saying earlier. This is that moment where if that team gets the right people, working with them, talking to them, helping them navigate this space, it could be the best thing ever. But I kind of like, for me, it's like my plea then back to Knock, back to everyone on this panel, like, let's try to network our way to that group. Let's try to get them in the room with the right people, talking to the right teams, getting the right advice. Because if it goes wrong, it's going to hurt everyone. And if it goes right, it could have the biggest positive impact on everything we're doing. So let's all put the time and effort into trying to do that. We're
Hey,
doing that with other
Predzor in the
teams like
building.
them
Good to see you, brother. Thank you for
that are kind
tuning
of
in, man.
cautiously
We are
eyeing this
listening to
space and wanting to
Gamified,
learn and wanting to
the
get involved. And
52nd year
the more those
anniversary.
people can be connected with the right people in
52nd
Web3,
episode,
the
1 year
greater is the chance
anniversary.
of success. Because there's a lot of people who will tell them the
We
wrong
are in the
thing.
comments.
So let's all try to drown those people out and get them the right people in the room.
Yeah, that I would be happy to help facilitate some of that. Let's do it.
You love to see it, man.
Let's do it. Animositas, the man behind some other infrastructure in Web3 gaming. What are your thoughts on TSM Blitz?
Yeah, medium deal for me, Sam. So we know that the main driver for new users coming into the sector is not mainstream brands. It's also not mainstream studios. It's them having friends and other, their fellow gamers and content creators and other influencers that they trust, and that they're actually willing to take their advice and their feedback and follow along into a new space. Right. This is very much grounded in biology and in psychology for humans. The vast majority of people are not going to be early adopters for new tech. And so we're very much at that tipping point. It's going to take a number of catalysts, most of which are one-on-one conversations, not mass mainstream, adoption all hitting all at once, that seems to feel very manufactured, right? And so I think eyeballs is always a good thing. Having 30 million more people understanding to some small degree what Web3 is and why it's better for them as gamers, absolutely good thing for the sector. However, until we see products and adopters that have begun using those products communicate more effectively with their friends, we're not going to see mass adoption.
Well said. And I just want to give people a heads up. We're going to do a little segment later where we talk about some of our favorite moments from the past 51 episodes of Gamified. But if you comment your favorite episode, or sorry, your favorite moment from Gamified history, you could have a chance to win some of these awesome rewards. So get those in there. I would love to read a bunch off along with some of the ones that were submitted by our lovely panelists. I'm going to go to Jerry and then back to Knock about TSM Blitz.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to a famous Coop quote and say that size matters, and 30 million is a lot of people. And if you just go to the Blitz website, you can see some of the games that they support and provide data on right now: Pal World, League of Legends, Counter-Strike 2, Valorant, Teamfight Tactics, Apex Legends, Fortnite, Escape from Tarkov, and finally Destiny 2. I would say that's some pretty big fucking games. I would say we've all probably played a few of those. And, if a 10th game pops up as a Web3 game, like a parallel, that's a huge funnel that will be created. And, I think is something that sounds like they're, actually trying to do. So I think this is a big deal. If I said that chess.com's 100 million people is a big deal last week, unlike the rest of this panel, I like to be consistent. And I would say that that's a pretty big deal too.
All right, Knock, over to you.
Yeah, I think the big thing, and one of the ways to look at this is like the definition of a phobia is like an extreme fear or overreaction, and a lot of the times that's coupled with you don't really know why you're afraid of that thing, but you're afraid of that thing. My girlfriend is terrified of spiders. She sees one, she freaks the fuck out, and she has no idea why. The same is true for like traditional web 2 gamers. When you say the word crypto, it creates this like response in them where they just want to vomit, they want to run away, they don't want to deal anything with it. And one of the ways that you make people or you help people get over a phobia is exposure therapy. It's this idea of get comfortable with the thing, get comfortable with being adjacent to that thing. And when you're looking at a platform that has 30 million gamers, we don't need Blitz to be the team that leads the charge for mass onboarding, but they can be one of the teams that helps to get 30 million people accustomed and comfortable with the idea of Web3 gaming. We don't need to put it all on Blitz. They don't need to be the ones who fight this alone. We don't need to all go in and make sure that they get it right. But the idea is 30 million players will now have some exposure or potentially have some exposure to the idea of crypto and gaming. And over time, they'll become more and more comfortable with that idea as they play games with their friends and they talk about the reward system and they have XYZ experience with it. And then it's more likely that the next time they see a wild card or a shrapnel or a parallel, they're willing to give it a shot instead of just saying, fuck that, there's crypto, I don't want to deal with it. That's where I think the potential benefit is here. I don't think that Blitz needs to drive it, but they can set it up for everybody.
Well said. Heading to Tony from Shrapnel and then over to Koji.
Yeah, I switched bodies with Tony, and you got dubbed now. And I just wanted to chime in on the topic, and sorry to come in halfway. But I used Blitz app to become the master of TFT for season 3 through season 5. You know, and I can't freaking wait to see something like Parallel or even something like ourselves on the Blitz companion app. And it's so cool because it's not a main thing with the game or anything. It's just this little thing to help you learn your journey through the game. And like I just really looking forward to what Coop and AVAX has in store for that ecosystem and how Web3 is gonna kind of empower that some more and like, you know, reward players who create content on it or what have you, and really looking forward to it.
Well said, Tony. Dub. Koji, over to you.
I think it's a big deal, mainly because it wasn't that long ago that we were all sort of weeping in our hands, being like, "Oh, Web3's over. It's a bear market. No, you know, like no Web2 company's ever gonna touch this shit. We're gonna have to do it ourselves or whatever." Um, and now, you know, like there's still obviously a lot of interest in the space that we're dabbling in, and I mean, I hate to use the adage "sorry, my dog's barking," but like we are obviously still early. If you know, if these motherfuckers are still trying to figure it out, so like that just bodes well for our projects.
Well said. And last but not least, my co-host Lems.
Yeah, I'm just here to read comments. That's all I got. But before that, I do have to say for Dub, in case you missed it, over half the audience thinks you didn't complete the redemption arc. So just sorry to disappoint you in case you missed that earlier. Shout out to Charlie, had a comment in there saying hats off to Knock. He really held his own in that debate, and I think he really elevated the conversation. That was in relation to the AOF, and I definitely think so. It made it a really, really interesting discussion. So yeah, shout out Charlie. And then you guys are killing me with the memes in the comments. Shout out Sauceboy, AE, Chelsea. Like I feel like I can't convey these without the visual, so you guys just got to get in the comments. But yeah, everyone I read there, we're gonna be hooking you guys up with Planet Atmos whitelist. So I'll be sliding into your DMs.
Lem's just leaving me on red over here.
It's all right, Dub. Don't feel bad about it. 50% of people think I'm going to be mean this year. So there we go.
And they were
I
right.
can see that.
They were right already, dude.
Apparently.
Gotta give a huge shout out to all the commenters, not just for today, but for all the people that have made the comments an absolute party over the last 51 episodes. I think that sometimes the content in the content comments is borderline just as good as the content on the show. Even the panelists jumping in there and elaborating on concepts, answering people's questions. It's just my favorite thing in the world. So over the last year, some people that have stood out: Yap, Steps, Crypto Actor, McChillin, Jaxie, Etherway, Nico Naughton, Samurai Kai, Maddox, Cypress Phoenix, AE, Pirate Master Murdoch, and so many others.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to give everybody a huge shout out. And if I didn't get your name in there, I'm so sorry. I know the list goes on and on, but I just wanted to make sure I at least acknowledge as many as I could. Thank you guys so much. We're going to move on. We can make this one quick, but I thought it would be fun. Gamified's game modes. We're dump dating and marrying them. So dump, date, or marry, raid boss, big deal, little deal, no deal, and dump, date, or marry. How would you rank those things? I'm going to Mr. Gon Koji first. Will he actually participate in the game mode, or will he say they're all garbage?
Sam, you know me so well because I wasn't gonna say they're all garbage, but I have no idea which game mode is which. If we're being honest, I'm just like, yeah, throw them at me. But you know, I'll dump the one where we're split off into teams because I feel like I end up arguing against what my real point is the majority of the time, and I feel like that there's some people walking away from the spaces being like, oh, maybe he really believes that, and then I'll just marry any other game mode that you want to put out there because this is the most fun spaces there is. Yeah, and no dating for me. I'm a man of mostly commitment. I'm not as committed as Sinjin, but I'm a man of commitment. So I'm marrying all the game modes in this space.
I'm committed to all mothers out there.
Sliding
Hands off
Sinjin's
Toad.
DMs.
Especially your mother. Sorry, couldn't help it.
Dub, over to you, dude.
I just first wanted to recollect. I didn't realize that there's 52 weeks in the year, and now I do. So thank you, Sam, for putting 2 and 2 together. I was perplexed this morning. I thought the show was around for like 2 years, and like it just had blurred this entire time or something. I was trying to do the math, but now it all makes sense. But for me on the dump date or marry, I'm for sure marrying Raid Boss. I think that's what the only reason why you brought me back was because of my performance in Raid Boss. So of course I have to marry her. I'm faithful to her. I'm definitely dating dump date or marry because I still to this day dream of the responses that Animacitas had during dump date or marry and wish that I could be that coherent of a speaker. And ever since I heard that, I just dreamed of doing it. So that's why I'm constantly dating it. And that means I got to dump little deal, no big deal, or whatever the deal, because honestly, that one gets so fuddled up. It might as well be a yes or no. I like this thing. So that's why I'm dumping it.
I love how he was like, I love how Animositas is so eloquent. And then he was like, some deal, no deal, or a little, what? I love you, Dub. It's so great to have you all the time, man. Mr. Wild Paul, over to you.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference between big deal, little deal, no deal, and dumb data Mary. They seem like the same game to me, but I
No,
know we said this earlier, but I just had to reinforce
very different.
like my favorite, and it's not really tied to what the game modes are because clearly I break the rules of every game mode just like I'm doing
Ice
right
and
now,
Dark.
and I'm just gonna talk about something else, but and I seem to do that every time, but
You're mean.
But yeah, but what I love are the ones where we disagree. I wish there was some way to like even like sort of find out ahead of time like which are the ones that our panelists are going to have opposite takes on, so that we can like dive in and spend the most time on that. Because for me, that's when I learn the most, and I feel like we draw out the most insight is when we're like actively aggressively disagreeing about things. And that's the only chance that we're ever going to see me and Paul. So anyway, that's what I vote for.
That was why we invented Raid Boss, was to make people disagree. Because sometimes I know that you guys can argue both sides of it. You just don't because it's not your real opinion.
That's true, and it has been good at provoking that actually. So I know it's hard to do, like like was being said, but I kind of love that one because it does force me to look at things from other angles, and it does tend to provoke arguments. So yeah.
You'll love to hear it. And actually, Raid Boss was voted by our panelists as their favorite game modes. Of course, some people said it wasn't, but it was the most often selected favorite game mode by the panelists. Jerry, I'm going over to you, and I hope Animositas has one in the chamber.
Yeah, I actually love big deal, little deal, no deal. Because I think the world isn't black and white, and I think having more than two choices sometimes is really good for this panel, even though people like Paul just don't, follow the rules. I am going to date Raid Boss because like I have this sick thing where I love picking the people on my team. Like I love picking the token people and making them argue against tokens. That's the funnest shit to me. And I'm gonna dump date Mary because I think Sinjin and I got in the early episodes back in the Wild West days. Sinjin and I think got too carried away with that. It was called something else. I'm not going to say the name. And I think we made a lot of women hate us.
I think I single-handedly shut that down. I was like, I think Katie and I both were like, Sam, really, dude, come on.
Yeah, my bad.
PTSD triggered. Thanks, boys. Appreciate that. Wow, episode 52 going great. Love it. Knock over to you, and then we'll go to Animositas.
Yeah, I'm also gonna break the rules and just go straight to marry. And I'm gonna only marry Raid Boss. We've got some problems. We need to go through some counseling. We need to figure it out. And I'm gonna call out the audience here because I feel like what happens a lot of the time on Raid Boss is one team. I won't name which side, but one side presents really well thought out arguments.
This is
You
facts.
know, they have a plan. They directly counteract the points made by the other team.
Facts.
And then the other side does the Lois Griffin running for president 9/11 meme, where anytime St. John says wank, the audience claps and cheers for
Facts.
him.
Facts.
Shut
So
up, you gutless wink.
I
Facts, dude.
love the game mode, but I think we've got some problems in the way that voting happens. So
Preach.
I'm marrying Raid Boss, but we need to figure some things out.
Facts, Knock. Dude, he jumped straight to Mary, man. That's it. We got to make a Utah boy out of him.
I'm going back to Wild Paul because he put the hand up. I want Animal
Knock
Cheetah to
is
have the
right.
last
Like
word.
we need a little more game design theory happening up in here. You know, a little prisoner's dilemma, a little like let's figure out how to really pit people against each other and add some mechanics to these game modes. I would love to also just see I like when we do the things like you were just calling out earlier, Sam, where we have audience voting for things and like it just really lets people, and of course the comments are so good for that, and I love you guys for reading out the comments as we're going, but even more things that would involve the folks that are listening and sort of bring them into the conversation, I would be all in favor of. And yes, more game rules, more actual game mechanics would be awesome.
Yeah, I should have never asked a bunch of game designers about to
exactly.
rank my shitty games that I designed like a year ago. That was a horrible decision. I regret it immediately. Animal Citas, the king of dump, date, and marry. Take it away.
Yeah, look, boys. So I'm gonna dump big deal, no deal, whatever the heck deal it is. We talked already about expectation management. This game mode is a throwaway because nobody really knows what the expectation is. Half the people aren't going to bother following the rules anyways, and the audience is just left confused about what everyone's saying. No one has expectations, but nothing's really coming out of it. As a result, you're going to feel like you were involved by participating or hearing this game mode, but at the end of the day, you don't care enough to end up sitting on the couch eating a pint of ice cream if things don't go your way. Dump, date, or marry? I got to date this one. This requires you to be quick on your feet. Just like dating, you got to be present all the time, ready with an answer. At the end of the day, it's going to have a really awesome crescendo at that final moment, just a chef's kiss at the end of the experience, but it's also not going to keep you there forever. Afterwards, you're going to go away dreaming about it, but you're not laying in bed for the rest of your life.
What was that sound that
Dude, I
Animal
didn't know
Citas
if
just
that was a
made? Like, what
chef's
was
kiss
that?
or I think that might have been a thrust.
I got to finish this just like that. Raid Boss, this is the one I've got to marry here. Marriage is all about compromise. Just like in Raid Boss, you may not always end up on the side that you thought you would or that you wanted to. Just like in marriage, you're going to get thrown in with a family that you didn't always pick. Some of the people you're going to kind of like a little, some of the people you're going to love, but you're all there on the same side trying not to kill each other. At the end of the day, the audience is going to be the ones that judge how effective this thing was. Marry Raid Boss, boys.
Okay, dude, but you got to thrust in marriage too. Okay. Just
Wow. Wow. That's why he's the best. St. John, over to you.
Yeah, I'll dump a little deal, big deal, small deal, whatever like that. It's just whatever, exactly what Animalcito said. Like it just expectation wise, like we always break the rules anyways there. I'm gonna marry dump, date, whatever. I realized that we can't do the orgy jokes anymore because it was always a layup for that, and so I'm kind of sad about that. I hope it comes back more. And I'm gonna marry Raid Boss. I think what's the beautiful thing here is that actually, I only use about like 10% of my intellect during these spaces, and because it's so easily, fucked by me just going all in with the hammer that it's just too fucking easy. And that's about the game design and how it's structured. But if you guys actually structured it, or we structured it a little bit more better, it's I would still I was going to use some other old gamer term, but I would still destroy you guys anyway. So like there's no real point. But if you want to see the more intellectual side of St. John, bring it on. I'll still school you boys. It's just like if I lost weight, I would not just take your moms, but I'd take your girlfriends as well.
I see St. John's mic moving, but all I hear is Lois Griffin on the podium saying 9/11.
I just hope that whenever we get to episode 104, the second anniversary, you guys actually know what the game modes are called. Because I've only told you them for 47 consecutive weeks, St. John. But one day we'll get there. Brian DeSanto with a hand up.
I also admit I had no idea what the game mode names were. I had to pull up your survey to get the list of possible answers. I'm gonna marry Raid Boss. I think it's rare that you get put into a headspace where you have to consider other opinions that weren't your first gut, and I think that's a really powerful framework. As far as date, I'm gonna swerve and say quickfire. I think this panel tends to be wordy as fuck, myself included. So I think sometimes it's nice to get a quick hit of knowledge. Sometimes you need a quickie every once in a
That
while.
one is my favorite to break the rules on, other than talking when
Right?
my hands
Oh,
up.
we know.
more love for quickfire. And I'm gonna dump, date, and marry. Sometimes I just don't want to marry or date anything, and I feel like I'm forced in a corner. Like sometimes I don't want to choose.
All right, great stuff. Brian DeSanto actually following the rules. You gutless wangs, take some fucking notes. Jerry, over to you.
We got Brian, the Bachelor DeSanto over there. Am I the only one that follows the rules? Did I just realize this? First of all, how do you guys not know the game modes? Are you guys like, I don't know if I have faith in your guys' projects anymore. You guys are asleep at the wheel over here. I just realized that I'm the only one that actually sticks to the rules, Sam.
Whoa there. First of all, Jerry, check yourself. Because I follow every rule meticulously.
Nah, it's just us, buddy.
All right, we
Those are
move
the
on.
wankers.
My game modes have been insulted enough for one day. My ego bruised. Thank God I'm leaving tomorrow for 5 days so that I can recover from this and be ready for next week's episode. We're going on to some more statistics. We'll make it short. Thumbs up and thumbs down if you guys believe. Well, we'll figure this out. So big deal, little deal, no deal, and dump, date, or marry were actually voted the second best topics. They tied for second best, or the game modes, and then the winner of the best game mode based on our survey was actually bullish or bullshit, which I was really shocked by. That one really surprised me. We don't even, yeah, it's kind of a filler in my head, but apparently people love it, so we're going to bring out more of that. Favorite panelist, curious if anybody wants to jump in who they thought. Somebody won 50% of the vote for favorite panelist. Anybody want to gander
Damn
a
right.
guess?
Damn right I
Sinjin.
did. That's the
Sinjin.
reduction org.
Koji, the hands up.
I mean, it's obviously the guy who yells "gutless wanker," and I'm a gutless wanker because I also voted for him. So,
Jerry, what do you think?
It was so hard, but I don't even remember who I picked. I love all you guys. You guys have all become friends of mine.
Wow, that was lame. All right, Sinjin did win 50% of the popular vote. Knock the hand went up as I was announcing it. What were you gonna say?
I want to point out the fact that Jerry spent the last 5 minutes saying how he follows every single rule and then just completely ignored the rule that you said from
Well,
the start.
hey man, I mean, fucking when in Rome.
truly a victim of circumstance.
By
Whenever
the
you
way,
surround yourself with these people.
Congrats, Sinjin. I voted for you too. That is the most well-deserved. And it's because you put in the time, man. You are here 47 episodes. That's crazy from wherever you are. Congrats for that, man.
Thank you, man. And thank you for all being good nails so I could be the fucking hammer.
Thrust.
Thrust. All right, next one. Who's your favorite panelist? Katie versus Paul. What do you guys think? Was who won more of the popular vote
What
on
the
this one?
shit, dude? You didn't tell me that was one of the questions.
Koji.
I would have ran a fucking campaign, man. We would have run a campaign against each other.
Now's your chance.
I don't know if I got that question, to be honest with you, but
This is-
after being on a podcast with Katie today, I'm like, holy shit! Why don't I hear her voice more?
I
man?
say that to Sam every fucking week, by the way.
You guys are both mad geniuses. It's unbelievable. Like normally, I feel like couples, their skills sort of complement each other, but I don't know. I feel like you guys are both battling it out for.
We're Barbie and Oppenheimer, man. I told you.
Yeah, except you're both Barbie and Oppenheimer.
It's true.
One survey was sent to the panelists, and then another survey was sent to the audience members. It was a tweet that went out. So some of the panelists might have responded to that tweet, but mostly it was audience members. Big shout out to everybody that filled that out.
Is my space rugging? Or is my computer rugging? What's going on here?
And we are going to be doing a giveaway
okay, we're
for
back.
those people.
We're back. Nope. Are we not back? Oh my goodness. Dude, my PC cannot handle this right now. Too much epicness.
in terms of like her
All right,
level
we're
of
back.
intellect and her trying to keep Paul under control.
Knock
Fucking
is
amazing.
so right, and you guys get a glimpse into our entire marriage and our professional relationship every single time we are on stage together, because that's all she does all day long is rein my bullshit in. That's like her, like that's the most important part of her job. She would even say, even though every other part of her job is also the most important. Knock is completely correct.
Well,
The
I
only
did invite Katie on the space today, and she fucking faded me. So we'll find out if we can get her up here. Animositas, over to you.
Not seeing them on the same space is actually seeing them
I would
in
say it's
person
the
and having
only
that same
part of my
experience
job.
live.
Like number 1, number 2, and number 3 part of my job is reining your bullshit in.
That was like,
okay.
Like
and
a
there's
phantom in
Katie
the night.
Bettner from the top row.
Everything I learned from listening to Paul, because he never stops.
All right, I'm gonna let Sinjin answer this last one, and Annie, if you want to get in there too, and then we're gonna tell him who actually won.
I gotta give my vote to
And whoever lost
Paul.
gets kicked off, by the way. Sorry. Thank you, Sinjin. Thank you. Go ahead, Sinjin.
You know why? Because us abused husbands, we got to stick together. You know, it's just the support group that needs to be there in the face of these powerful, lovely,
Taylor, I
amazing
appreciate
women.
you,
But
brother.
sometimes they take that power too far, and it's just abusive, man. And I feel you.
Yeah, but we love it.
Yeah, we love it.
All right, well, 63% of people voted in the Bettner v. Bettner. You know it's Katie Bettner. Katie won.
Heck
63%.
yeah! See you guys.
I am not buying it, you guys. Because you know what I don't hear after I talk on this space? I don't hear just like what Paul said. Well, I agree with what Paul said. I really love what Paul said. I don't hear that after what I have to say on a regular basis. So
I
mean,
They're
already
just
love
scared
what
of
Katie
you.
just said.
I
Yeah, if it
appreciate
makes
your
you feel
love.
any better, I never hear that either.
See?
So
They don't want to invoke the name of Katie for her wrath to come down and fucking strike them from wherever they are.
That's it. I do want you guys to know that for a good little while, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Jerry, or maybe it was Sinjin. I remember somebody said like, "Oh, every Paul's just scared of her, of his wife. Like that's why he's just so terrified. He always mentions her all the time because he's so scared of her." And I was like, "Look, man, you're making people think that I'm over here whipping you." But thank you. This is
I mean,
such a
I've
great
had dinner
space.
with you
Paul said he
guys.
actually
You
likes that part.
do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, Paul said he likes the whipping part, actually.
Again, Sinjin and I know where our place
Okay.
is, and we love it. We're like off the top rope, and we're there squished underneath, and we're like, oh, we love this so
I've
much.
met both your guys' wives. They're both angels. Do you stop playing the victim here? Typical men.
Seriously.
Typical
And
men.
by the way, the reason, Katie, that people say that to me is because I just like
You're
it's
cheesy
just
as
coming out of my
hell. I
pores the
know.
need for positive reinforcement, the need for love. Like
You're
I
the
just
worst.
exude it from every pore. And
Mhm.
you know, so they're all just trying to help me out, and
Oh
I
my
appreciate
gosh.
that.
But also I'm gonna jump, but Sam and everybody on this space, like what an absolute dream this space is. And I'm so glad that you guys are getting what you deserve and that people are showing up for you. You really have changed my entire outlook on what these Twitter spaces can be. I just love you, and I love all these panelists, and I get so excited whenever you guys show up somewhere, and I can't wait for many, many more.
Thank you so much, Katie. That means the world to me. And despite devolving into brief marriage counseling there for the last few minutes, I do appreciate every single time I get both Bettners on the panel. It's truly an amazing experience. Shrapnel's Dub is going to chime in, and then we're going to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, just like what Katie said, like we should bring her up more and we should give her credit for everything she said. And, you know, I'm just nailing it right out the gate. Like that's what we got to do going forward.
He's really trying for that redemption arc.
He's trying his
He
best.
definitely is. Katie takes what she wants, bro.
All right, well, we're gonna jump
Hey
in.
Taylor, I
with a
appreciate you
story
hanging out so
time. We
long,
haven't done
man.
story time in a
We'll
few
talk
weeks
soon, all
now,
right,
so
brother?
the anniversary
Appreciate you. We
episode,
definitely got to
it's
talk about
fun
these farming
for
these
me and
airdrops,
Lems,
man.
to do a story time and explain a little bit behind the inception of Gamified. And we found this audio clip. Shout out to Phil, who has been grabbing a lot of these stats and combing through things, and he found this really old clip on episode 1 that I thought would be fun to kind of kick off with. Hopefully, playing through my computer speakers, this sounds okay. I'm going to start off with that. I created Gamified because I was so sick of typical founder interviews. I could not take it anymore. So I decided to build something different. The idea behind this show is that we get as many different pieces of input from people whose opinion we actually respect so that we can inform our own opinions as we're going out into this crazy Web3 world and hopefully do it with a little bit more finesse, education, and tact. This is going to be a really interesting format that hasn't been done in Game 5 before. And because of that, I think it's going to be really special. Every Web3 gaming space right now is about promotion and education that I've seen. And this is going to be different because it's about community, interesting discussions, and most importantly, having fun and gamifying the discussions that we have, which we're all here for gaming. I don't see why we don't gamify the conversations that we have all the time. So that was the original vision behind Gamified. I wish I could have said it a little more eloquently like 51 episodes ago. But here we are all this time later. If you go back and listen to those episodes on Spotify, it literally like could not be more different how much it's evolved. Around like episode 20, it felt like we really hit our stride. But I wanted to send it over to my co-host Lem, see if he had any thoughts on the inception of Gamified and the progress we've made over the last year.
Yeah, I think first things first, a moment of silence for the term GameFi, RIP. It was much loved for a short time. Yeah, man, it's been such a trip. Even going back to listen to those episodes is still interesting. I remember listening to episode 1 a couple of months ago, and it's it's a good nostalgic vibe. I still think you can see the raw potential of the show, but yeah, so much more unpolished than what we have now, and our crazy whiteboard that we had on that first episode, which was pretty insane. It was pretty cool just thinking back to, I think it was me reaching out to you saying like, hey, Eat Lizard socials need some support and wanted to get something going with that. And you're like, hey, like I have this idea for a space, and it would be really good just to go like wolves down, Eat Lizards. We can really kick it off with that. And I think that was the moment when Gamified was really born. And I think the name came on the first episode. Maybe it was the second episode when the name rolled in, but then it's been stuck to it ever since.
Yeah, and Gamified obviously kind of looks like Gamified. Sinjin even still calls it Gamified all the time. And I remember one of my buddies, Brian, who helped me conceptualize this show as a game show, was like, you might want to do like game hyphen fied, just so people know how to say it correctly. And it was like this whole debate that we had for hours and hours. And that original flowchart, I want to post like a picture of it because I accidentally opened it the other day and it is a fucking disaster. Like it was like 20 hours of me brain dumping into a flow chart what gamified should be. And truly it really did like kind of lay the groundwork of how the show flows. But I've recreated it like 6 different times and now it's like so streamlined, it makes total sense. You can look at it and understand it. The first one literally looks like I was a project manager at fucking Amazon. It's insane. And it doesn't really make sense. So just another opportunity for me to say a huge thank you to everybody that's made this so special, which is obviously the panelists, again, willing to be honest, being funny, having great opinions, coming educated to the space every single time. Well, everybody except for Koji. And that's it means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. We're going to move on. We're going to do bullish or bullshit. iOS pulls a Unity and adds a quote core technology fee for iOS apps distributed from the App Store. These apps will have to pay 50 cents for each install over 1 million. Literally a fucking exactly a Unity because that went so great. Tim Sweeney had a comment. He quote tweeted it and said, this is because the scheme worked out so well for John Riccidiatello, or however the fuck you say his name, people that we don't like anymore. Koji, your thoughts on this?
Riccatello, by the way.
Thanks.
I think it's funny that we're talking about it because none of these motherfuckers are getting over 1 million. So you don't have to worry about it. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I hope that we all do, but I hope that we all do. But honestly, like it's a high bar to hit, and if we get there, it's probably less of a concern
Koji is
than we think it's going
spicy
to be
today.
because getting to that million is going to be the hard road. And then once we're there, if I need to pay a little tax along the way, I'll do it.
Paul, I know you had some strong feelings on this one. Wanted to send it over to you.
So this triggers some PTSD for me, even though I don't need to be afraid of this now because I used to live in a world where you don't say bad things about Apple like publicly. So I don't live in that world anymore, and I think it's fine. Yeah, this has not been great. When I saw this news announcement, I was like, somebody must have got the details wrong. There is no way that, and I, the follow on, like, Tim and other people commenting on this kind of confirmed to me that, oh my God, they really did fuck this up that badly and literally make the exact same mistake. I know a lot of iOS developers who are incredibly concerned and discouraged by this news in the same way that Unity developers kind of reacted. They're not doing it as publicly because uh, there's really only one Apple. It was like easier to kind of speak out against Unity, I think, than to speak out against Apple, especially when Apple has a curated platform and literally holds all the cards when it comes to whether your app gets on the store at all, promoted, etc. So it's a little bit more of a challenging relationship when you're an iOS developer. Um, and but I was myself discouraged, displeased, disappointed to see this news. I don't understand it. I know that Apple is trying to fight back against what sort of what they've been dealing with in the EU and the kind of regulations there that are forcing them to do certain things like putting an app store alongside other app stores. But from us developers, it's like those are actually the good battles, the right battles that those particular regulators have been fighting. Not like, sometimes these things can be political or motivated by the wrong things. But you look at the battle that Tim, for instance, Tim Sweeney at Epic is fighting, and it's super righteous. Like he really is doing it on behalf of the developers, and he put his money where his mouth is in terms of like pulling Fortnite from the App Store, because, or actually I should say getting banned or whatever, pulled off the App Store because he wasn't willing to play by these draconian rules that are, in Apple's case, historical more than anything. I just don't think they have a leg to stand on when it comes to sort of demanding the royalties that they were demanding the sort of App Store monopoly that they had. And this feels like a little bit like them trying to get revenge for that and trying to like sort of prop up that revenue vertical inside their company despite them being forced to do the right thing. And I don't agree with that.
Real quick before I go to Knock, Army of Fortune actually released during Gamified a public statement on their token launch and airdrop plans, as well as some changes. If you guys want to talk about that, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down, and I'll make time for it, or I won't based on that. But Knock, your thoughts on iOS?
Yeah, I think like objectively, this is just. Oh, hello.
You're there.
Can you hear me?
We
Okay,
hear
all
you.
right. I had a little technical difficulty there. I think objectively, this is just like stupidity, and it's really bad for anybody who's developing within the ecosystem. I also think that this is something that shouldn't be surprising to literally anybody who's used any Apple product for any period of time ever. Like, this is a company who fought a battle on a Lightning port so that they could license the tech for Lightning to third-party developers to create tools and accessories for Apple iPhones because only they owned the technology behind Lightning. Like, they admitted that USB-C is a superior product. They have it on one end of the fucking connector, but on the other end, it's this proprietary Lightning bullshit. This has been Apple's game. They know that they own a monopoly. They know that they have total control over the ecosystem and the products that you use. They're going to levy and hit you with all kinds of stupid shit, and you're going to say, wow, that sucks. Well, it's really dumb that I have to pay $90 for a MacBook charger that doesn't fucking work, but you're going to do it anyway because it's Apple and they own you. So I think it sucks. It's an awful thing for developers to have to deal with. It's not something that anybody should be surprised at all. And I also think what Koji said kind of has merit for a lot of teams. It feels like a lot of the people who will be complaining, like there are plenty of giants who are going to be complaining because this is an extraordinary tax on their downloads. But for the overwhelming majority of people who are developing apps complaining about this, they're never going to sniff a million downloads anyway. So I do think that there's some truth to the humor that Koji brought up, but I think like by and large, this is a really shitty thing from a company who has a history of doing really shitty things, and it shouldn't surprise anybody.
Well said as usual, my man. Shrapnel's Dub, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, I'm not an expert savant like Paul with all this industry and everything. I'm just a dude with a crystal ball. But when I'm looking at my crystal ball and I'm seeing like people like the CEO of Spotify, for example, like making this big public statement on how they're against all of this stuff and how stupid it is and everything, it really makes me feel like this might be the straw that breaks the Apple's camel's back. I tried to make that good, but it wasn't. And like I it just feels like they finally kind of gone too far, and they'll see a lot of pushback publicly from larger organizations like Spotify. And I think there was another one too that I was surprised to see him speaking out so heavily on this. And I think it's good to see, and it's a good sign for the market that, you know, I don't think Apple will be able to continue doing this kind of stuff.
Well said. No more hands on that. So I'm gonna, before we get into our favorite moments in gamified history, maybe we should just read this Army of Fortune one. I'll let a few people chime in. We won't spend too much time on it, but I'll read the statement for people that haven't seen it. They say, public statement on our token launch and airdrop plans. As we celebrate our token launch this week, we address the challenges that have arisen with our airdrop plan. We deeply apologize for the disappointment and inconveniences caused to our community. We acknowledge our shortcomings, particularly in communication and managing expectations. We regret the distress and uncertainty this has caused and commit to better transparency and collaboration. We've listened to the community and devised a new plan for token distribution to NFT holders. Full details in the Discord. I'm reading this from Twitter, so go there if you want to see everything. We pledge to improve our communication, value your feedback, and align our decisions with your needs and our shared vision. We deeply regret the impact of our previous actions, and our goal is to rebuild trust and create PR bullshit. And then somebody in the comments says, why not give us the allocation here? Are your holders not on Twitter? And then they replied and said 40 million tokens, which is 4% of the supply. Again, I guess we have to go to Discord to know for sure. Does anybody want to comment on this? I saw some hands
I
up.
mean, I think that was, I'd have to go back and read it again, but it sounded like a pretty decent, as apologies go and as kind of like mea culpas go, that seemed pretty decent. I think, you know, we were talking about this several gamifieds ago around similar moment with the with Jeremy Horn's mint, with the Incarnate or the Overworld mint. And I, you know, and I think, you know, he had a moment where there was a lot of disappointment and confusion and you know, frustration about parts of how the mint went. And I think what Jeremy realized in that moment was it maybe it wasn't even enough to just apologize and just say we're going to get this better, although he did that. But he went into overdrive working to kind of deliver value or to provide value for the people that were frustrated, in addition to just saying sorry. And so I think it's now, you know, my guess is it's going to be on this team to figure out how they're going to do that. And that's, you know, that's the worst kind of feeling and moment, because you're like behind the curve, right? Now you're having to, like, instead of something that was pre-planned, you're having to be reactive. But this is also the fire where great teams are forged. So you know, it's all going to depend now on the moves they make in this kind of high stress situation.
Graslow, one of my favorites in the comments. I'm assuming this is in jest. He says, hopefully there's at least a giveaway for retweeting the AOF response. Brian DeSanto, over to you.
I'm cracking up at the Graslow response. I totally agree with Paul, though. You know, I saw Coco's statement. It feels genuine. I think they probably feel horrible about how this was received and what happened. But now it's on the team to rebuild trust and over deliver. And I think, you know, this is just day zero all over for them. But I think the changes and improvement, I think it's 4% of total supply. There still is that 10% unlock cliff and investing, which I think feels healthy from a tokenomics standpoint. So look, I appreciate them putting that out. And I think that's why we have these hard conversations and we push back. It's so teams recognize that what they did wasn't great and the market didn't like it. But if you look at AOF passes on OpenSea, volume's up, prices rising. So clearly the market is responding well to it.
All right, well said. Knock, over to you.
Yeah, I think Brian and Paul had two great points here, but I just kind of want to rehash some of the things that we were talking about earlier and look at some of the comments on this. Really well thought out. It's exactly what we were saying earlier that they should have been doing. The way that they need to go about responding to this sort of thing is admit your mistake, admit you fucked up with expectation management, admit all of those things. They did it. The first comment is great, but get fucked because you didn't tell us the distribution of the tokens. Another comment is, how come a third party doesn't get any tokens? And one comment is literally just their ETH wallet address. So it goes back to the point where no matter what, it seems like regardless of what you do as a founder in the space or as somebody that's building a team, literally nothing that you're going to do is going to satisfy everybody. And I do think that there's something to take away there as well. They did exactly what we wanted them to see. There's like one comment saying we love you, and every other comment is neutral or negative.
Important to point out, Dub from Shrapnel.
Yeah, I don't know the details of exactly what they did wrong. I mean, I love the game and I love the team and I know that. And what's really interesting for me looking at the situation now is thinking about how is Web 2 users perceiving what they're seeing if they are seeing this tweet and seeing what's going down, and like how ugly our customer service kind of looks towards our Web 3 users, especially from a Web 2 point of view. Because like if I was finally interested in getting into this game and seeing it, and then I see their main communication is just arguments over token and the allocation of it and all this kind of stuff, I would definitely be turning around and not being interested in it at all. So it's like a good warning sign, or like a thing to think about, is when you do have these big optics moments, like it's not just Web3 here. How does that look to Web2 as well? And I imagine their user acquisition right now is really rough because of that.
Lem's my co-host.
I just had to read this comment. Peyton has the best comment on this whole subject. Nothing beats the keyboard from Valhalla. Mic drop.
Valhalla's keyboard, man, we can't even keep up with that. And it looks like you pinned up Icy's comment as well. He shared a screenshot of the updated tokenomics, so if anybody wants to look at that. But we're gonna go ahead and move on. Interesting stuff. The debate earlier on AOF, if anybody's just tuning in, was absolutely electric. So
Let's
wanted
go,
to make
baby.
sure that we put a ribbon on that one. But we're gonna do a couple of things. We got our favorite moments from Gamified's past. If anybody has one that they wanted to share, I would absolutely love to hear from some of the panelists. I've got a few awards to give out. I'm gonna
Ooh,
read some of the
we got
ones that
awards.
people submitted. A lot of people say they love the intros, which always is a key to my heart. Somebody's particular said it felt like they were getting ready for a boxing match every time the intros happened, and I thought that was really cool. So I got to make people fight a little bit more often. Magical moments of fun banter and memorable quotes like Fresco is weak, or Koji's daughter having irritable bowel syndrome. Just amazing moments that are unforgettable. A lot of people submitted, "You can't iterate on an open economy, you fuck." And I think that, as somebody said, I think that set the tone for the show because people became much more candid, had deeper conversations, etc. after that, which definitely it got a little bit weirder after that moment for sure. Way back in the day, it was like episode 10 or something. Paul and Elisa were both on the show. Shout out to Elisa. She said, or actually, both of them at the same episode gave out essays and like books. There were recommendations, and somebody said they absolutely loved that. They actually ended up reading all of it, and they felt like they gained so much from those 2 hours. So huge shout out to that person for actually following up and reading the things. And then, of course, Paul and Katie were mentioned quite a few times, and specifically the story of it was like the second story time we ever did. Paul selling Words with Friends for not $20 million, but instead 180, which I mentioned in his intro earlier. They said it wasn't the awe of him earning that money, but instead hearing how he felt coming out the whole time. He was getting flown out to feeling depressed about knowing he found something special, but it was in a time in his life where everything was changing and money was getting intense, and he had to part ways with that piece of him that he had built. It was a really touching story, to be honest, and makes the achievement far more interesting to hear those details. And then a few people said each episode always has a favorite moment, which really touched my heart. So I'm going to send it over to Doug from Shrapnel, has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my favorite moment, but please, Sam, if there's anyone who picked like one of me in a moment, send it my way. I'd love to know. I imagine there's like 2 or 3 maybe out there, but for me,
Getting cocky, Dove. Getting cocky.
I know. I'm working my way out past the one finger. But my favorite moment was Sinjin and Jonah when they butted heads on stage, and the reason why was not because of how hilarious that whole moment was, but I was actually like, I consider myself good friends with both of them.
That was
and I was
pretty
friends
epic.
with them during that when that happened. And I literally I remember sending a DM to like both of them to remediate and to make them friends. And then they became friends after that moment. So it just kind of like, I don't know, it just sticks with me. And I always think about it and just laugh back on it just because I was kind of like the friend in between that was like, hey guys, you actually both love each other. You don't need to fight publicly like this anymore.
Aw,
I
I
never got
love
that email,
Dub.
man.
I love Dub.
Well, Paul, your favorite moment?
I actually just had to echo what one of the things that you were pointing out, Sam. Early on, this might have been my first or second episode, I don't know, but both Knock and Sinjin, especially Sinjin, really, like, I was just feeling my way through this. Like, it was my first real Web3 Twitter Space participation, to be honest. One of my first Twitter Space participations at all really was gamified. And so I didn't know what the tone was going to be. I didn't know what we were there for, and the kind of way that we were going to have these conversations. How candid are we going to be? Are we going to be kind of expected to just sit here and chill or whatever? and and both Sinjin and Nock like just clearly laid any of those fears and anxieties I had to rest. It made it super obvious that we were here to drop truth, that we were here to share our authentic experiences, to try to help others, to try to lift up other projects, other founders, to try to really connect with the community and the audience here and share insight and into what we're doing in an honest and candid way. And I am so grateful for you guys kind of setting that example and letting me know that that's the way that this show is going to be. And and from that point forward, I keep using this word, but like, Sam was asking me and sent out like a bunch of questions and about gamified for us as founders. And for me, if I had to pick one word from my experience on gamified, it'd be learning. I have learned so much almost every single week from listening to the other founders, panelists, and now with the comment threads that are happening, because that wasn't really happening initially. But I mean, look, what are we up to? Almost 500 freaking comments. And I get to see all those happening in live while we're on the show. Like, that's like such a unique thing about this format. And I come away every show with insight from my fellow panelists and from the people in the audience. And it's just like invaluable, like irreplaceable asset for me as a founder working in Web3 to be able to have this space to do that. I don't think any other show is like that, where like I could legit say, like, most of the other things that I participate in are promotional or kind of there to help, drive marketing for the project or whatever. And that honestly is just a side effect of what happens on Gamified. The core value of it and the utility of the show in terms of insight and learning is really what the heart of this entire show is about. And that's so crazy, Sam. Like, I mean, because honestly, like, we're all here to also make a business out of this. And it just speaks to the same kind of thing that we're trying to do on Wildcard, where there's like this element of obviously commerce, but at the heart of it, what we're really trying to do is bring joy and connection into people's lives with the games we make. That's always been true about my career, and especially Katie and I's focus now is like, it's not driven by the money, it's driven by our passion to create that joy and connection with the people who experience our products. And that heart is here for Gamified, and that's what has kept this show on track, and honestly, I think is the true reason, despite all the other things that you've done, Sam, and everybody else contributed to help this show grow. The real reason it has is that authenticity and the fact that we get that real value out of it. So I just had to say that, especially on our anniversary.
On our anniversary, dude. Yeah, me and Paul's anniversary is today. It's amazing. No, I always have to reflect that back to you guys, because I can ask all the questions in the world, but without you guys feeling comfortable and being honest, it doesn't matter. And it's changed my life. Sinjin setting the tone, like we talked about a minute ago. Jerry bringing some brevity too, all the times that he did. And actually, let's get into the awards. What I want is for you guys to, if you have anything to say about these awards, they're not the most amazing, but I think they are prevalent. Mr. Sinjin, of course, wins the Iron Man award. 47 fucking consecutive episodes, Sinjin. Thank you so much for what you've done for Gamified. I just wanted to have a moment to acknowledge you. Any acceptance speech from the man?
I'm all choked up. I can't really say shit. So no.
The first time that's ever happened. Appreciate you, bro.
Wow,
All
I
right,
can't believe he's speechless. Wow.
that was amazing. That was actually a
Mission
true Gamified
accomplished.
first. We've done it. We could wrap it up. I'm retiring after this show. Up next, the comic relief. Of course, it's Fresco. I mean Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm all choked up.
Young
Thank you,
Gerald.
guys. Yeah, young Gerald. Yeah, thank you for the award. I appreciate you guys. It's voted by the fans, obviously,
Obviously, and
and
to
God.
call back to call back to earlier, we don't have Tony anymore, so it's kind of weird now. But it was going to be the Get a Room award goes to Koji and Tony, because all they can fucking do is say, "I love Parallel. Oh, I love Shrapnel. Oh, I love Parallel. Oh, I love Shrapnel." Koji, your
On
thoughts?
on behalf of Tony, I'm so glad to be best friends with Koji because I love his product and his project, and I'll let Tony know.
On behalf of myself, you've now ensured that I'll never tell anybody that I love Gamified. but thank you for having me anyway.
You're welcome. No problem. The most passionate award, of course, you know, has got to be prolific Paul Bettner.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to keep bringing the Barbie then, and then I'm happy to do that. As I mentioned earlier, I draw my energy from this show, from everybody giving me the positivity back and talking about how much they value the things that I've been able to add to the show and the stories I've been able to tell. I guess that's a benefit of being an old guy that's been doing this for a while. But as I mentioned earlier, I love you all. Thank you so much. I will continue to bring that passion this year, times 10 actually, because as I talked about, 2023 was just us warming up, and 2024 is the real game. So we're gonna have some fun this year.
Yikes, dude. If that's been Paul at 10%, I don't know if I can handle Paul at 100%. This might have been a huge mistake.
Sorry.
And then this has been a joke forever. Icy has been calling himself the #1 unofficial fan of Gamified, and I wanted to make it official. So Icy is going to be the #1 official fan of Gamified.
Let's
Can't say it any
go!
more.
That's what I'm talking
Huge shout out to
about.
what he's done. He's been
Talk
doing
about it.
bingo the last few weeks. This week he's doing
Thank
like
you,
a
Sam. I
scavenger
love
hunt.
you,
It's
brother.
absolutely insane. The level of support from the human and then also to the show is just incredible. So I wish Icy was up here to be able to accept his award, but know that I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. This one, of course, the king of DDM. We got to make that
That's
one
what I'm
official too.
talking
That one's
about,
going to
baby.
Animositas. The man has been on an absolute
Fuck
tear
your
with that
life!
mode.
Bing bong! If you see these dogs in your
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Everybody hates it, but congrats, Animositas. Enjoy it while it lasts, brother. Any words for the panel?
Yeah, I feel like this is the way to go out, though, right? You go out on top of a league that's about to crumble. So no, I really appreciate it, Sam. I have to say, when I shared one of my favorite moments, it was taking that leap to make a comment about a three-way in a public forum. Which, for those that don't know my background, I was an HR manager for a decade. So that was probably the most outside my comfort zone I've ever been in. But thank you and Gamified for giving me the chance to flex my wings there and take off in those early days.
Bravo for doing it, Jerry. Your hands up.
Let's get a little DDM on the panelists there, Animositas.
Oh, I love it, Sam. Maybe one of the next episodes. Let's do it.
Yeah, dude, let's smoke some of these fools. The most loyal award is going to go to the Wolves DAO. People don't know this, and Peyton is going to win the Glue Award. These are kind of combined. Peyton and the Wolves DAO helped create so many of these relationships. Paul Bettner, Koji, Brian DeSanto, Sinjin and I might have already been in touch. Knock, like a lot of these dudes came to me because of Peyton and my relationship with the Wolves DAO, and this show has only become what it is with these people because of both of these, the organization and the man behind the organization. So I just wanted to take a minute and say huge shout out to them for being the glue, not just for this space, not just for the Wolves DAO, but for all of Web3. Like what they provide is so immeasurable in my opinion. And I say that as humbly as I can, being a member and one of the admin over there. So huge shout out to the Wolves DAO. And guys, I gotta jump into it. Well, I mentioned this briefly too, but the king of the comments goes to Yap. He's absolutely been crushing it lately. But it's also got to be McChillin, Steps, Crypto Actor, Jaxie, Etherway, Nico Naughton, Samurai Kai, Maddox, Cypress Phoenix, AE, Pirate Master, Murdoch, and so many other people. Also, huge shout out to the panelists that every week are down there making it even more educational and entertaining. It just means the world to me. I'm also getting word that Mr. Oliver Maroney has given us an OpenSea GG hoodie to give away, which is absolutely awesome. Make sure you follow my Twitter. I'm going to give you guys ways to win a wild pass. We might even do another shrapnel operator. We got a bunch of stuff to give away, as well as that OpenSea GG hoodie. So make sure you look out for that.
I wanted to double down on the Wolves DAO thing also real quick, Sam. I know we're all sharing the feels, but there's this book because people are talking about book recommendations. It's an older book called The Tipping Point. It's pretty good. There's some things in it that have been debunked, but one of the things that book talks about is how you look behind any success and you'll find one person or a small set of people who are what they call connectors. Like these are the people that actually bring everybody into the room together. And Wolves DAO 100% has been that for us and for so many of the people we've met here. So yeah, huge shout out to Peyton and what Wolves has done and continue to do. Like they're even better now a year later than what it was. The value that they're bringing to our project and I think the whole ecosystem.
Appreciate you saying that, and I am hesitant to say this myself. because I don't want his DMs to be absolutely flooded. But Peyton is maybe the single best connector I know in this entire space. It's fucking amazing what he does for people. So huge shout out to Mr. Peyton, and he now has his Twitter account back, so you don't have to worry about getting getting hacked anymore if you click on one of his links. Just be careful out there. Shrapnel's Dub, your hand is up.
Yeah, sorry, just a twofer really quick. I just want to say, Sam, truly Gamified changed my life. If I didn't join it, I truly believe that I wouldn't have ended up where I'm at Shrapnel today. And for that, I'm forever grateful for you, buddy. And in celebration of that, I sat Tony down during one of our game tests and had him actually stream and create content. I just pinned it. But we have some Tony shorts of him playing Shrapnel, and it's freaking hilarious. Sorry to shill. It was just something I'm really proud of, and I think everyone will enjoy in celebration of all this.
Thanks, buddy. So happy that you're with that amazing team now. And, if it's Tony content, I'm always down. So thanks for putting that up. Knock, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just, in the spirit of your earlier comment about book recommendations, Paul just mentioned an author that is very near and dear to my heart, and somebody that I think everybody who enjoys this space should go and listen to. So Google I think it's Malcolm Gladwell is the name of the guy. He wrote The Tipping Point. He wrote a number of other books. I just posted a picture in the comments of like all of his books. I read them every year. They're fucking incredible. If you like this show, you're gonna love the content that's within those books. Take a look at Gladwell.
Yeah, well said. A lot of really great looks at human psychology and behavior through those. As we lower our weapons and conclude this exhilarating journey through Gamified, let's unleash a thunderous tribute to the titans that have paved the path for us. Behold, Shrapnel, the official game of Gamified, proudly powered by Avalanche, the official blockchain of Gamified. In the vast realm of FPS games, Shrapnel stands as the ultimate commander, orchestrating an arsenal of artillery where every tactical endeavor weaves a tale of turmoil and triumph amid the echoing cacophony of explosive shells. Now it's your turn to embark on an epic expedition to shrapnel.com. Suit up in your digital armor, load your ledger with coveted loot, and lock in your coordinates for the next combat conquest. Dub, do you mind if I say to people, if you go to the pinned tweet and comment that they came from Gamified, you'll hook them up with an extraction pack? Can we make that deal?
Yeah, I mean that's all work for me, and Tony loves to do that. So why not you too? Let's make it rain.
All right, perfect. It's called 15 Sigma is what it looks like on the tweet up there. So if you want to get an extraction pack, go raid that. Tell people you came from Gamified and they'll hook you up. And as we conclude our exhilarating expedition through Gamified, let's not forget the frosty fortress that underpins our thrilling journey through the future of finance and fun. Avalanche, the official blockchain of Gamified. Let's unleash a resounding applause for Avalanche, our polar pioneer, fearlessly carving crystalline paths through the unwavering strength. Avalanche empowers us to navigate the digital landscape with the warmth and wisdom and waves of entertainment. Take a page out of Avalanche's book, my fellow adventurers. Stay cool, stay curious, and mark your calendars for next week at the same time and the same place. And a huge shout out once again to the audience that got us over 500 comments. You guys are absolutely amazing. We make this show for you guys as well as these panelists. So thank you guys so much. I can't wait to run it back next week. And a huge shout out again. Avalanche and Shrapnel are the official sponsors for an entire year of Gamified. All of 2024, we're going to be running it back, and I can't wait to do so. Big love to everybody. I'll give a quick shout out to everybody on the panel one more time, too. Of course, Coop behind the AVAX account, the absolute beast of Twitter. We got the Wolves Dow, always co hosting. Love you guys so much. Shrapnel, Dub, Tony, Saigo. There isn't a better team in Web3. Bride DeSanto absolutely crushing it. Infinigods. We got King of Destiny. There's so much cooking that he's told me about that I can't wait for everybody to find out. Koji with Parallel and Colony AI. I'm absolutely stoked to get my hands back on that one. Wild Paul always crushing it, not only on this show, but of course the Wild Passes have been cooking, and they're one of the best games in Web3. Knock with the newsletter and always bringing knowledge. Appreciate you yet again being sick and coming out for this show. Animositas, it's been far too long, my friend. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating with us today. Sinjin, the Titan of Taboo, huge congratulations on that 88 mint of a black card. I think that might be one of the biggest value buys right now. Of course, not financial advice, but I asked somebody what they were going for on the market. Of course, there's not too many of them, but it's a little bit crazy to me. Jerry, my man, of course, also with Meiji, always crushing it. Thank you so much for bringing some brevity to the spaces. And Lems, the co-host with the co-most, appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to see you guys. Same place, same time next week. Game of 552, that's a wrap.
acting like they wanna know me. Probably ain't the only time you check me, it's a warning.
Congrats, Sam. Epic job. Congratulations, everybody. I am the official fan. Let's go. That is amazing. We're going to close it out by watching the video one more time.
This idea for quite a while, so super
You are
pumped.
now listening to the greatest
Ice and
minds
Dark,
in
baby.
Web3
Thank you for hanging out this long.
hosted by
I appreciate
Sam
you, brother.
Santana.
You can't iterate an open game economy, you fuckhead.
Watch your mouth, big dog.
We've all seen you stream and we see how bad you are.
Shots of fire, dude. Yeah, what a crazy conversation. You don't want the smoke, bro.
Biggest mistake in Web3 was that he joined Web3.
Community and the players have to decide that.
Unwank yourself.
Love that. Love that from Peyton. Hey, look at that. Jag it. Hey. Come on now. 1 year of Gamified, baby. Look at that. Come on
Been
now.
working on this idea.
Love it. Love it. Ice and Dark, I appreciate you so much, man. Yo, are you on there, bro? Are you? There's no way that you're on here, right? Damn, dude. I wish you were on here. I wish you were on here. You got to get in the Gamified audience, man. Dude, they give away a lot of stuff, Ice and Dark. They give away a lot of stuff. There's like good chances to get shrapnel operators, extraction packs, all that good stuff. Bro, I literally taste blood in the back of my throat. All right, guys, that was Gamified. Oh, I'm supposed to jump into like Orange's stream. All right, guys, I gotta go. Actually, no, we'll stay. What's going on? Hold on. Let's go. Let's see where we're at. Where is it? Shrapnel? Shrapnel. Yeah, we're supposed to go into
in all stages of
Yeah, let's go Richie. Hot drop. Ready, boys? 3, 2, 1, go.
We here. After Gamified, baby. Yo, why is there a thing? Why is there a timer?
I think we're unconned. Oh, wait, no, we're contested. That bad drop. That best drop.
I think I uninstalled Fortnite from my computer because
Power
I
drop
needed
is bad, bro.
space.
I'm literally on point.
How are you? Knock.
Ooh, nice.
Stole my kill. That's insane.
Two knocked.
3 knocked. 4 knocked.
I might be a professional.
7 knocked. Dead. He's one shot.
Where?
I mean, he really is him.
Banana.
One dead.
Mayonnaise.
What is Cairo saying right now?
I feel like he's trolling me.
Mayonnaise, what?
Never.
I feel like that's what a troll would say.
Orangey would know. Oh. Oh, that's pretty fire.
Dude, where is this guy? I see his footstep.
Dead.
All right, dead.
Orangey's so good at this game, dude.
You got to keep it focused. Sick. Should go to ride the
All right, Kyle,
bicycles.
where are we pushing?
If this was me and I'm in FNCS, I'm going Pleasant Plaza.
All right, you heard it, boys. Let's go. Let me hop in the whip.
Hop in the whip. They got a full squad?
What the fuck?
You got a truck anywhere? Let's try. I'm gonna get a bounty.
All right, guys. I'm going to dip out, man. I got
Where's
to...
that? Right here. Let's go, boys. Kara, hop in that
I
car.
got some things I got to do.
One
But
shot.
if you guys tuned into the stream this long, like Ice and Dark, I really appreciate you, man. Jump in the Discord. We'll do something soon. And yeah, congrats, Sam. Gamified 1 year. Thank you for the award, but thank you more so for what you do for Web3 gaming, brother. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.